Okay, we'll give it just another few moments and we'll make sure our camera is all set up. All right, we're looking good. Oh, we got a little mirror action too. The mirror here is help, but we'll get a lot of more close up shortly. So, okay. We'll give it a little bit of time. I know we're going to have a lot more folks tuning in, but I would love to ask if you wouldn't mind typing into the comments, how many people are joining for the first time? Let's see. How many folks, is everyone doing this for a second time, or is anyone that's here for their first time? I'm always so curious. Feel free. My parents walked in and says, "Is that Emily?" No, Julia.
My name is Julia. Hello.
My daughter and I are cooking together, first time for her and second co-op virtual class for me. Hi, Karen. Nice to see you. And Farissa, this is my third lesson. Yeah, we have seen, I see a lot of familiar names, but I'm so excited for all the folks that are joining us for the first time. Welcome. My name is Sarah and I work at Common Ground Food Co-op, and I help with our marketing department here at the store, but also I have the pleasure of working with amazing people like Julia to do our cooking classes. And we do a lot of different types of classes here. We do in-person classes, from like cocktail classes, some in-person classes, and then usually every month we do a virtual class that comes with a meal kit. So thank you all so much for joining us today and cooking with us this Saturday. Julia reached out, and I would love to introduce Julia. Julia's going to be teaching and came up with an amazing recipes for this evening. So I'm really excited for you all to be cooking along, and we'll be able to enjoy all of the entire meal at the end. So I'm seeing more folks. Second virtual cooking class for us. Welcome, welcome. And then my parents, my son and I, first time for my mom and dad in Zoom. They've done live cooking before. So we're so glad to have you all here. We're going to have a lot of fun. So we have about 30 households that registered and picked up the kit. So of course, everyone has a different kitchen setup, but we will kind of walk you through all of the recipes, what you're going to need, and we'll want to make this as interactive as possible. So feel free, if you have questions or you want to add to the conversation, feel free to add anything into the comments. And then I've got my camera that will bring up any of the comment section, and we'll also get a close-up view of some of the things that Julia will be doing. So, okay, I think we're excited. Julia, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit, and we can they would love to learn a little bit more about you, and we can come over here.
So hi everyone, my name is Julia. I'm not from here, I'm from Brazil, so maybe you notice a little bit of accent around, and if I say something not particularly correct, don't mind. It's me. You're gonna get it in the end, you know. But the things that I prepared today, Italian menu, and I wanted to create some recipes that could give you a good understanding on how to do the recipe correctly, but also how you can create on this recipe for the next times you're gonna do it. So I chose some recipes that I will teach you everything to make it as much as more perfect as you can, but you can also, I will give you some guidance on how to change, how to add some spices or change a little bit the taste or other ingredients that might be good with it as well. So in the next times you do it, you're gonna have like a broader recipe list to do for your parents and for your friends and so on.
Love that.
So yeah, I'm actually an agronomist. I'm not a professional cooker, but I decided to be an agronomist actually to be more close to food because I couldn't study gastronomy at the time. But it was a really good background that brought me together with cooking so I can understand how the ingredients are planted and how they put flavor in it so we can have good ingredients at our table and create awesome recipes with that.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about? But you also did a lot of cooking, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the amazing coffee shop that she had in Brazil. But you did a lot of different cooking classes, private cooking classes, in the past, and so you reached out, and we're always looking for community members to share recipes that they. And when you suggested this menu, I was so excited. I was so excited. I thought it was
Everybody
gonna be
loves, like,
really,
Italian
yeah,
food, right?
and flavorful, and you put your own spin on things. So do you want to describe the recipes today? And then just we can do a kind of a brief overview of what we're gonna make, and then we'll kind of then we can talk about what we're gonna do first and the ingredients and equipment that you might need, and we can go from there.
Okay. So I know you guys just received all the cards with all the ingredients you got here. And I separated 3 recipes for today. And one is a salad. It's called Panzanella. Uh, Usually Panzanella in Italy, sorry, is made with leftovers. So Italians used to eat a lot of bread, a lot of tomato. They love olive oil, and this panzanella just puts everything together. But the traditional one, it's kind of soaky bread and kind of really mushy. And I personally prefer something with more texture. So I made some changes and we're gonna add those changes in this version of mine.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple and I'm gonna guide you why I do each of the steps that I'm gonna do. But it's really simple, easy, and everybody likes it. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's going to be delicious and has some, going to be using local bread from Central and Bakehouse that just got baked off yesterday morning, and tomatoes and lemon and fresh basil and the shallot. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about that one too.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. And for the main dish, we're gonna prepare a risotto. So as I said to you guys, I'm gonna teach you how to do the perfect risottos, all the techniques and what you have to pay attention on, so we can get the really creamy and tasteful risotto in the end. So for this one, we're gonna do asparagus risotto, which is really delicate and simple, and I think everybody enjoys it,
Yeah,
right?
I think so too.
Yeah, so
And then brie, I love that addition of
yeah.
brie. So that will be nice and creamy at the end.
Yes, for sure. Like cheese.
Yeah.
And for these recipes, you're gonna see that you could use any cheese that you like. I think the brie, it's kind of really delicate and brings a creaminess really special, and I think will be a good choice for this recipe. And in the end, which I'm gonna prepare in the beginning, and you're gonna understand why, it's the panna cotta. So for the ones that doesn't know, panna cotta is basically a flan, a really creamy and simple flan, and that is really typical from Italy too. And they normally just do it like plain heavy milk, some sugar, and with some berries on top, and that's it. So today we're gonna spice it up a little bit
Yeah.
with some details. And yeah, it's gonna be the first one, so I'm gonna keep a little bit more this secret.
Sure, sounds good. Sounds good. So, okay, well, again, so we have the recipe cards for you. We are going to actually be using a little bit more equipment than the initial card said. So we will be using a grater, a peeler, but we'll go through everything that you're going to need prior to us beginning each recipe, and we'll give time for it. So down the line, if you have any questions that come up, please feel free to let us know. We're happy to answer any questions. And yeah, we're so excited. So we're so excited to have you all here. And I know it's going to be some really delicious ingredients. And there was 5 households that chose to get a vegetarian kit. So we swapped out the gelatin for agar agar, and we'll talk about that for the panna cotta. And then I believe the only other switch was the veggie broth for the chicken broth. So it was actually a pretty easy one to modify. And thank you again for testing. She did a test in advance to make sure that everything was
right
in
texture,
proportion.
yeah.
So yeah, we're so excited to have you. So okay, the first step, I know you guys are all ready and eager in your kitchen, so we want to get you started. So why don't we talk a little bit about, so we're going to do the panna cotta first.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the equipment that they'll need besides the ingredients that they got in their kit. And then we'll talk about what kit ingredients they also need. So
okay, so I think first of all, I would like to ask you guys if you're guys by yourselves or cooking for someone or with someone. It would be interesting to know how you're gonna share this amazing food that we're gonna cook today. So send in the comments, let me know. So before we begin, we will need 2 saucepans, one so we can prepare the panna cotta, and the second one so we can do the blueberry sauce that goes on top of it. Other than the saucepans, we would need a spatula just to mix it around. And for the ones that will be using the gelatin, a small bowl or a mug or a cup, anything that you can put a little bit of water, then we're gonna place the gelatin just to hydrate. But a small bowl with open, it's a good call.
And then like a grater, whatever grater that you have, if you have a microplane or a box grater, that will be good for the lemon.
Yeah.
And then what else?
I think that, and a knife for the lemon.
Spatula, you got that. So I will put that list in here. Okay, so out of the kit, we have a whole lemon. We've got the packet of the gelatin packet, or the agar agar, which is basically the vegan seaweed gelatin.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun. And then we've got lemongrass. That's that kind of almost that root or that stem that we'll be using.
We have the blueberries. We have the milk, the heavy cream, and the 2 sugars, the small one and the big one. So make sure you have everything with you right now, and we can start.
Okay. So it looks like Shannon and Janjay said, "Me and my girlfriend cooking together."
Oh, that's
awesome.
great. That's a perfect date.
Yeah. Jamie says, "Sharing with a friend." Carissa says, "Just me today." Henry says, "Cooking with my wife." Gaspard said, "Just me, but friend might stop by." You guys are such good friends and partners. Oh yeah, hi Genevieve. Eve says, "I take notes and then cook for the family on Sunday." I love that. Yeah,
that's good.
We're so glad to have you, Genevieve. And Karen says, my daughter and I. Okay.
Okay, so let's begin.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to start with is making the panna cotta itself. So the kind of the flan that we're gonna do. So we place the pan and we're gonna heat up. Oh, sorry. Before I begin, we should start with the gelatin. So the ones that are using the agar-agar, you can just wait because we're gonna use it in the saucepan with the mixture for the panna cotta. So for the ones that are using the gelatin, let's start with it.
Okay.
You're gonna place just a little bit of water on a small bowl. So you can cover like with one finger or something like that. This water will basically hydrate the powdered gelatin that we're gonna put in it, and it's gonna look like jelly. Then we're gonna dissolve in the mixture. Okay.
Okay. So cold water, hot water, what do you usually say?
Cold water, tap water. Don't
Okay.
have to worry that much.
So I'll get a close-up of this.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's just a little bit.
So I think that's like maybe like 2 tablespoons of water in a small bowl, and we'll add the entire packet of gelatin.
Yeah.
And like Julia said, for anybody doing the vegan or the vegetarian kit, the agar-agar doesn't need to be hydrated.
Yeah.
Well, you'll just we'll let you know exactly when to add the agar-agar. So this
Yeah.
is just for the gelatin. And then do they need a
So-
spoon?
No, you just place there and it's gonna absorb all the water and it's gonna be like a jelly. So don't worry about it, just place it there and we're gonna prepare and wait until it's hydrated.
Okay.
So the thing that differentiates the gelatin to the agar-agar is that when we heat up the preparation, the flan, the panna cotta, and we place the gelatin, the recipe cannot be too hot. So if it is too hot and you boil the gelatin, it loses the ability of putting everything together. So I believe, well, I talk in Celsius, I don't talk Fahrenheit.
That's okay. We can
Like 90 Celsius, it breaks the gelatin power of putting everything together. So we only simmer the mix so we can put the gelatin and dissolve it. We cannot boil it. Okay.
Okay. So
So-
again, when we're heating up the milk and when
Yeah.
we add the gelatin, we don't want it to go beyond a simmer, otherwise the
Yeah.
gelatin will not work.
Yeah.
So what
Or
type
you
of
can boil
temperature?
and then you wait a little bit to cool down a little bit so we can mix it.
Okay.
But anyway, it's just like I'm gonna do with you, but just to differentiate how we use the agar-agar. The agar-agar we need to boil so it can activate. So
Okay.
that's why we need to wait until like when it begins to boil, we wait 1-2 minutes, then you are sure that it will get together when it cools down. Okay, and different than the gelatin, the agar-agar doesn't need to be in the fridge for the whole time to be like
solidified.
Yeah, solidified.
Okay.
But the gelatin needs. So
Okay. So
yeah.
gelatin, when you add gelatin, we will make sure that your cream is not going to be too hot or not boiling.
Yeah.
But those using the agar-agar for the vegetarian recipe, you're gonna need to boil your milk so that it activates the agar-agar.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay, everybody?
You see here that in the corner it's already hydrated.
Oh, wow.
And on the top, it's still a little bit dry. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of water so we can get everything dry, moist and ready to use, okay?
Okay. So Manuel, we haven't put any milk in yet. We're just hydrating the gelatin. So we added about 2 tablespoons of water, and it didn't fully hydrate every part of the gelatin powder. So we're just gonna add a little bit more water and hope that it fully hydrates. So we still got a little bit of dry, but we'll give it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
next step.
now in the saucepan, we can put the milk,
Okay.
all of it, all of the milk and all of the heavy cream.
Okay.
And for example, if you want to do like a plant-based recipe, you can always use like coconut milk, and replacing the milk, you can use almond milk or something like that. But the important thing is how you use the fat. So here we have the heavy cream as the fatty part. So it can give like creaminess, and it gets really soft and like melts in your mouth. So if you're gonna do a plant-based, you should use like those really thick coconut cream.
Yeah, almost like those barista blend, like creamers. So adding both your cream and your milk into a saucepan.
Yeah. And the big sugar, the ones that you have 120 grams.
Okay, 120 grams of sugar.
And for this amount, you can always taste if you like less sweet or more sweet. You can do as you like, but let's follow the recipe for now.
Sounds great. And then are we heating it up yet, or we still need to add our lemongrass, it looks like?
We can start heating up.
Okay. So what type of temperature do they want, like to bring it to a simmer? Do they want to just heat it up slowly?
Yeah, let's bring to a simmer.
Okay.
And so the lemongrass, it's what's gonna be like the special ingredient that's gonna spice it up this recipe a little bit. But again, like knowing how to do the panna cotta, you can change as you like. You have several possibilities of making a different recipe. So once I did mixing, simmering with ginger or some spices, and then you can do like orange or tangerine,
Oh,
like
yeah,
you know?
mandarin or
Yeah,
like
mandarin.
any citrus.
Yeah, citrus, a sauce on top. It's a nice combination. Or if you like cinnamon, or you can do anything like coffee too, like you can infuse as you're gonna infuse the lemongrass. You just have to put whatever you want to give the flavor in it, and let it kind of release the flavor with the heat. And then we can separate what we are putting there and have a little bit of taste in the panna cotta.
Yeah. So so we've got the heavy cream, the milk, the 120 grams of sugar. And we are gonna chop up the lemongrass.
Yeah, you don't have to chop it up like in small pieces, just so it can be like this, and then you place it in here and you just let it warm it up a little bit.
So we did
What
like 4
temperature?
large chunks. And are they gonna
A little bit
need
less.
So we're gonna bring this to a simmer.
Yeah. So here we want to dissolve the sugar and make sure the lemongrass releases all the flavors in this mixture.
And then we still have kept the gelatin. We haven't added the gelatin. It's still hydrating. So here's a look at the gelatin.
Yeah.
So just with a spoon, we're stirring it.
Yeah, and if you're using the agar-agar, you can add the agar-agar in here now. So it can be dissolved and mixture in the same saucepan.
Okay. So yeah, agar-agar could go in if you're doing the vegetarian recipe, it can go in now. Okay.
So for example, there was a recipe that I did with coffee. And if you want to really bring the coffee, you can do this one day
Yeah.
in the day after before.
Yeah.
In the day before, and you just place it in the fridge and you let it like overnight, just grabbing all the flavors from the coffee. and you can put like a chocolate sauce on top or something
Mm.
like that.
Ooh.
It's a different, so you can always like be creative and
Yeah,
you
you
know,
can add, you are so creative about all your flavors, and you've got a amazing Instagram. Do you do it on
yeah,
Facebook too? Is it mostly Instagram that you
it's
have?
mostly Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted some on TikTok, but I'm not that young, you know.
So she, if anybody has an Instagram, she has an amazing cooking videos, and shows you all these unique recipes, and she's always so creative. So, and I think the lemongrass with this panna cotta is a fantastic idea because it will have a blueberry sauce that we'll make. And people put blueberry and lemon, like blueberry and lemon are such a good combo. So adding the lemongrass as like a kind of a stronger, almost like more tropical lemon flavor,
Mm,
I think is just going to be so good. And nothing's better than like a creamy citrus flavor. So
yeah.
I'm excited about this.
And if, for example, if you really like lemongrass like I do, I would put like 4 times this amount, really.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but if you're not super into it, like my boyfriend really don't likes it. But every time I make it, like with this amount, he likes it, you know? So it's really light and soft, so it's not a overpowering flavor. And it really brings like freshness to the recipe. And for me, matches perfectly with the blueberries. But if you want to change or you don't have blueberries, you can always use any berries that you have, like raspberries or even strawberries, or any jam that you have at home. You don't have to make the sauce, you just use a jam. It's really up to you. But you see, there's a lot of possibilities
Yeah, I
with
love
this
it.
recipe.
And we just got in our local strawberries, so you can adapt any of these foundational recipes. So
Yeah.
I increased the heat a little bit. How's everyone doing? We're looking for a simmer. We're not there yet. We don't want to make sure this, you know, heats up too fast.
Yeah, no. So if we simmer like slowly, we're gonna make this lemongrass release the flavor more intensely. If we do like really fast, it's gonna release less flavor. So
Mhm.
that's up to us. So if I would do it like at home and I really want to extract that as much flavor as it can, I would do this and set aside, uh put it like in the fridge or wait,
Mhm.
and then I would go back, simmer again, and add the gelatin so I can finalize the recipe.
Oh, nice.
It's
So you could do it
basically,
like you could do it like a day before just to really
yeah,
infuse
yeah,
your flavors in.
yeah. And yeah, it's a nice way to kind of flavor the milk and flavor the mixture.
So we've got some thumbs up, and Nuri, hi Nuri, says, my gelatin is hydrated. Do I add it yet?
I think we can, if it's simmering, you can add. I think now for us it's quite okay.
Should we increase our heat to get it to a simmer, or
No, I think it's looking
it's
good.
getting
Is
there?
we can already see some vapor going out,
Okay.
so it's warm enough. We can add the gelatin, and if you're using the agar-agar, you can let it boil. And once it boils, just mix really well. And do we have a sieve? I forgot.
Yeah, we do.
Because it's not like compulsory to use a sieve in the end, but it's like just to be perfect, you know, you don't want any small
Clumps.
clumps. So here with the gelatin, we mix until we see that everything is dissolved.
Okay.
We don't have to increase the heat. We can actually turn off the heat.
Okay.
And
So ours didn't really come to like a boil at all. It's just,
yeah,
we started to see some of the heat, some of the steam, and then added our gelatin. And now we're going to turn the heat off and just keep continually mixing to dissolve the gelatin. Whereas the agar-agar folks, it's
Yeah.
such a fun word, first of all. Which I looked it up. It's like it's like dried sea vegetable flakes. So it works very similar to gelatin and it has a very neutral flavor. But agar-agar folks, just like the coolest group, you're gonna bring it to a boil and
Yeah.
then they're gonna turn it off.
Yeah, you let it boil like 1-2 minutes. You just have to wait a little bit, mix it when it's boiling, and then you turn off the heat and wait a little bit, and we can do it together, okay? But just make sure it boils. You see the bubbles, it's coming up and up, you know, when milk is
It gets really obvious.
Yeah.
It's like almost gonna bubble over.
Yeah. So you have to wait a little bit just to make sure it reaches the right temperature. But that's when you activate the agar-agar.
So
So here, for example, you see the gelatins in the spoon.
yeah.
I still want to dissolve a little bit
Okay.
more.
Yeah.
So keep stirring.
So you said ideally when we decide it's done, you want us to put it through a strainer. If folks don't have a strainer, they could just collect and remove their lemongrass.
Yeah,
Um,
that's totally fine. Just when we pour it in the small containers, just make sure you hold it with the spoon, and be careful, but it's pretty simple.
yeah, you want to make sure that it doesn't splash all over the.
Yeah. And the agar-agar sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to be super dissolved as the gelatin, but it works in the same way. It will not impact the final result. It was just that to be more pleasable in your
Pleasing, yeah.
pleasing in your
Yeah.
mouth, it's better to sieve before you pour it in this
Oh,
the-
so
in the
it's
container.
very it has a silky texture.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who doesn't have a sieve, you don't have to, but there are perks to getting a more smooth consistency for your panna cotta. And it looks like
I
everything
think-
is dissolved.
Yeah, I think we are ready to go.
That's fantastic. So, should we talk a little bit really quickly about their containers?
Yes. So here we have some examples, but you can use whatever you have at home and you always can be creative about. So for example, once I did in the wine glass, and if you place it like, of course you have to set up everything so it can fit like perfectly. But if you set like this and you pour it like this, it can fit kind of
Like it can be slanted.
yeah, and then you put the blueberry sauce and it gets like super asymmetrical and it's nice. It can be cheesy, but it's
Yeah.
nice. You know?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different like fancy ways that you can pour the panna cotta liquid into the cup.
Yeah.
But we're using you can use small bowls. So you want the bowl to have enough space for 3 portions of panna cotta, or a third of portion of panna cotta plus some blueberry sauce.
Yeah.
So we have like
So
a
here, for
ramekin.
example, we would put the panna cotta mixture only about this much, and we leave this space to put the sauce on top.
Okay.
And you can serve like this if you don't want to have the the step of, how can I say?
Oh, flipping it and
Yeah,
serving it
flipping
like
it.
oh.
Yeah, and serving like a flame like
Oh.
in the plate. But this way is easier and fail proof.
Okay. So yeah, you can keep your panna cotta in the containers that you choose them to, like when you pour them into a cup, you can leave them in the cup to eat them.
Yeah.
Or it might be that your panna cotta, because it has that gelatin component, you could flip it. That's so
Yes.
cool.
Yes, I'm gonna try to do both so you can see how it
Okay.
works. So this one we're gonna try to flip it on the plate in the end. It's
Uh-huh.
not right now. We have to wait until it's set.
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna put in 3 different options so you can see. And
So do we need a strainer? Or
yes.
yeah?
If you want me to hold.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be great.
So
So we're gonna get a strainer,
a small strainer. Oh,
a
this
small
one works.
strainer and a bowl. One of these?
Okay, yeah, can be.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got our strainer here, which again is not necessary. You could just take the lemongrass out, but we're just gonna strain it into a bowl.
So you see that it's left like one little clump of gelatin. So that's the kind of thing that I didn't want to go into the
Mixture.
ramekin in the end.
Okay. Everybody with us? How are you guys doing? Are your liquids simmering? If they are simmering and you forgot to add the gelatin, now's the time. And just another reminder to not overheat your panna cotta if you're adding gelatin, because it won't make it as active. So as soon as it's starting to steam, add your gelatin, make sure it's stirred in. And so we sieved our liquid, and now we're just
Yeah.
gonna try and pour them into 3 different containers.
Yes, that's right. So
Great.
here, okay.
The Tully family says, it worked great. We took a tiny taste too, and it's delicious. Oh,
Oh,
good thinking, good
good.
thinking. So you're just pouring it from the bowl, and you've done such a neat job of it.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
if we can divide this one too. We'll get the lucky one to have the biggest portion.
So if you have 4 people, in your household, you could pour them into 4 containers, but this is great for 3. And they said, the Tully family said, we appreciate the agar agar. Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you're using the agar-agar, make sure, if possible, to use the sieve. Otherwise you have more clumps than we have in the gelatin. Okay.
Sounds good.
So
when these are poured into the container, we're just gonna go into the fridge with them.
yes.
Okay.
Now we put it in.
And let me get
fridge.
that for you, because for
Yes.
some reason this door gets a little,
Okay.
sorry. Okay, so we're gonna put these in the fridge. And I turned the fridge off because I was making a noise, but I'm gonna turn it back on because
Okay.
we need it. So we poured the liquid into those containers, and we're just putting them in the fridge so they can solidify. And we want it to be cold. And so the reason why we did this in the first place is because we want to make sure that there's enough time for it to set.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we making the sauce next?
Yeah. Now we're gonna make the sauce, and this step is the most simple from everything we're gonna do today. So I'm gonna give you 2 options. We can do like as I'm doing in a saucepan, or you can do in the microwave.
Oh,
Super
fun.
quick and easy, but you can get to choose.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm gonna wash a little bit the blueberries and the lemon.
Okay.
So we really want to wash the lemon properly because we're gonna use the zest. Okay, so make sure you scrub a little bit and wash
Okay.
it.
So scrub your lemon, wash your blueberries. And if
Yeah.
you want to save dishes, you can use the same container. You just rinse your old saucepan. We have another saucepan here that we're going to use for the blueberry sauce. How's everybody doing? Let's see here.
The ones that tried the panna cotta yet?
Yeah.
They like it?
Yeah, they said, the Tolly family said, we took a tiny taste in it too, and it's delicious. And then La Familia Tangora says, thinks it's great.
Nice.
Carissa says, looking good. Jamie, are we done with the lemongrass? Yes, so we just discarded the lemongrass. If you have a use for it and want to make like a tea with it and put a little milk with it, you could do that. But yeah, we just tossed the lemongrass. Yeah, great, you guys. Okay, so the next step is going to be the blueberry sauce, which is just going to be a simple simmer of the fresh blueberries, some sugar, some lemon. And then after that's done, we're going to move to the panzanella and then the risotto. So that's going to be the breakdown today of the dishes.
Yeah, so now I just washed everything and we're gonna use the zest of the lemon, but that's totally optional, okay? I use because I really love the smell of it and it
Mhm.
gets like a special, I don't know,
Yeah, it's just
citrusy
bright
vibe.
and
It's really good.
so okay. So are we zesting all of the lemon?
Yeah,
Okay.
as much as you like.
Okay.
I really love the zest, so I like to put as much as I can. What I try to do when I'm zesting is that
Yeah,
word?
perfect.
Okay. Is just to grab like the surface. Always I don't want to take any of the white part of the peel. I really want only the yellow one because the white one makes everything more bitter and we don't want that. We only want the citrusy vibe.
Okay, there was
So
one question from La Familia Tangora. Let me bring that up really quick. Okay, so they said, help, we put all the sugar in the pudding and now we need sugar for the sauce. So technically we only used, it's gonna be okay. Your panna cotta, if you use both containers of sugar, might be a little bit more sugary, but that's okay. So we only use the 120 grams of sugar, the big container of sugar
yeah,
for the cream for the panna cotta. And then there is this small container here, 22 grams. So I think that's really just like a tablespoon and a half
yeah.
of sugar. So technically, if you use both, you don't, that's okay.
That's
If you have
totally
more sugar
okay.
and you want to add some to the blueberries, you can. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it might be a nice tart. You probably could
I
leave off the
wouldn't,
sugar.
yeah, I wouldn't use any more sugar. I
Okay.
would really do it like to be very like sour and just to break down the sugar that you put in the panna cotta. So
Yeah.
I think you should be good and the texture will remain the same. So don't worry about it.
Okay. So the other questions are, thanks, Jamie, is I'm sorry, my screen keeps blacking out. Just a second. So the only things that are right now that that Julia is doing is she's zesting her lemon, um, and zesting the lemon into the saucepan. And we are going to use the whole package of blueberries. Anything supposed to be in our saucepan already? So what I love is that you're just zesting your lemon right into the saucepan. So that's
Yeah.
the only thing that we've put in yet.
Yeah, only the lemon zest, and you can see that I tried to take only the surface. I
Did
didn't
good.
get like it depends on the zester that you have or the grater. Like for example,
like the box
which one we
grater.
had. Yeah. If you're using this one, you just have to have a light hand, you know? Just
Yeah.
go like delicate and take like only the surface
Mhm.
and you should be good. And if you don't want to do that, that's totally okay too. It's just a special touch.
So it smells so good right now. So we have
Yeah.
as much zest as you could get from the lemon. And so you're cut the lemon in half.
I cut the lemon in half and I'm gonna put like the juice from it in the saucepan. Can you take this?
So we're gonna use a citrus squeezer, but we're just gonna do you just half or all of it?
I'm gonna use all of it.
Okay, juice all of the lemon.
Yeah, because I think the citrus like just breaks the sweetness on a panna cotta.
So there was a question from Matthias. There are 2 lemons. Should we zest both? So just zest one.
Just one.
We're
Yeah.
gonna use the other lemon for the panzanella.
Yeah.
So just zest one lemon and squeeze 1 lemon into your saucepan.
Yeah, that's true.
Does that sound good, guys? And then we're gonna use all of our blueberries, and we're gonna use that that small container of sugar. All right. Oh my gosh, it smells so good.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So it's gonna be really lemony and just absolutely delicious. So right now we just have the lemon zest and the juice from 1 lemon.
Yeah, and now we pour the blueberries in the saucepan.
Okay. We rinse those blueberries and just keep an eye out for any stems. I saw one little guy, but maybe not. That's okay. Oh, I found it. So take a look, keep an eye out for the stems on your blueberry. Nope, I lost it. It's okay. All right. And then what kind of temperature do we want?
So we want to kind of boil this so we don't have to worry that much to be slow or low heat. You can put in a high heat. We want basically to get this to boil and kind of break down the blueberries a little bit so they can get like smushy, and we also add the sugar, the small sugar in it.
Okay.
And once again, if you don't like things too sweet, you don't have to add sugar here, or just add a little bit.
Okay. We're gonna add all the sugar, but if you like things tart, like that, the blueberries, you might even want to try a blueberry because they really vary, but they're usually pretty tart. So this is gonna be a good combo. Yummy.
I love blueberries, and the color, it's so perfect. It gets so like bright.
Has anyone made panna cotta before? I'm really curious. This is actually my first time ever making it, so I'm so glad.
It's good. It's one of my favorite recipes. It's really light. Like, I think I came up from a family that is super healthy. So my mom doesn't like super greasy and super sweet desserts.
Yeah.
So panna cotta has always been a good call. And she is in love with the one that I told you about with the ginger and the spices and
that
the
sounds
tangerine.
so good.
It's so good.
So you just, again, you would have, to make like a tangerine ginger panna cotta, you would put the ginger into the milk.
Yes.
And then the tangerine would be like, would you put the juice of the tangerine or like zest? Or would you do like this kind of,
the sauce with the tangerine.
like almost like a marmalade?
Yeah, you can put like the zests and the juice with a little bit of cornstarch and the sugar and get to simmer, and it gets like perfect and super simple, super easy, and it's super like tropical flavor. It's really good. And with the ginger, you can also put like, if you like cloves or any other spices, like a little bit of cinnamon, and just makes like it's different, you know, like the kind of things that you just eat and you're just like, what?
Such a
What
good
do they
combo.
put here?
So too much heat or good?
I think they're good.
Okay,
It's like
we're really like doing like a hard simmer.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do it in a microwave, just put like 1 minute, stir a little bit, 1 minute again, and you're gonna see that it's gonna reduce the juices from it, and it gets more thick.
Ooh,
and I
smells so
think
good.
like 2 to 3 minutes, you should be good.
Okay, so 2 to 3 minutes on like a high simmer is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then DHS said, yeah, I think yes is like, have you made panna cotta before? And La Familia Tangora says, panna cotta is a basic, we make it often. I love it.
Nice.
I'm so glad. And it's so nice to see everybody cooking throughout the class. If there's any pictures that you take or at the end when you're plating your food, please please share it on Facebook or Instagram, and we'd love to help. We'd love to see how everything turns out. And of course, feel free to taste things as we cook, because nothing is better, and like, you really it's so beautiful to taste
I'm
throughout.
trying to be professional here.
Oh, it's just us two.
If I was at home, I would be
let's try it, right? Let's try.
time.
Yeah.
But and if you want to share on Instagram and tag me, I can write down in the comments my Instagram.
Oh yeah, what is
And
it again?
It's
It's your name, your last name.
It's tricky to
How do you pronounce your last name?
Paniago.
Paniago.
Yeah. So my name, we usually pronounce Julia. It's not like
Julia.
Julia.
Yeah.
It's Julia Paniago.
So is it Paniago for your handle, Instagram handle?
Yeah, it's Paniago Ju.
Ju.
Yeah, J-U in the end.
Cool. I just put it in the comments.
So here, I think we're good. We don't have to make it like too thick.
Yeah.
It depends on you, but I really like this texture. You can
Mhm.
see that some are whole and some
So
are
pretty.
smushy.
So it doesn't need to be like fully smooth.
No.
So we kind of want to see those blueberries still.
Yeah, and it's gonna be juicy and
Mm.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah, I got a spoon for you.
Thank you.
Mm. Oh my gosh. You guys have to try it. It's so good.
It's really good.
It's that perfect tart. You got that sugar down
Yeah.
just right. So feel free to try it. I'm really curious. So our induction burners usually heat up a little bit faster, so it's possible that yours at home still might be getting there. But don't keep stirring it with your spatula and like
And I think
mashing a little bit, but not too much.
Exactly. I think a good way to add texture to it is just use this spatula to smash a little bit.
Okay.
So you can kind of create part of a puree, blueberry puree inside of it, but you still have like liquids, you know?
And then as it like cools a little bit, it will kind of congeal and be thicker.
Yeah, it will for sure.
Because blueberries have so much pectin, so that just helps. It almost acts like a jelly.
Yeah. So I think we are ready.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in a container and place it in the fridge. So in the end, we can finalize and if we want to unload the blueberries and the panna cotta and put the blueberries on top, good. If we don't want to, we just put the blueberries on top.
Okay. So you're just pouring the saucepan, the blueberry liquid into a bowl, and then you're gonna put it in the fridge. So where is everybody at? Are your blueberries almost done? We've got this like beautiful, I don't even know what that color is. It's like maroon purple. Yeah. Oh, so gorgeous.
Yeah. This is a nice way to put things in your clothes.
So Nuri says, my blueberries aren't ready yet. Anaya says, same. Carissa says, should be another minute or two.
Okay.
Our blueberries are done. Not yet. No problem, you guys.
No
You take your time. So keep cooking. Maybe increase your heat a little bit. Because ours were simmering pretty hard. And just keep stirring them.
Yeah, there's no rush.
Maybe just a little water on that guy. Perfect. So take your time. So you did put it in a bowl and we're gonna keep it in the fridge. That is just gorgeous.
So we're gonna put it in the fridge.
Okay.
And by the end, it should be everything cooled down and ready to serve. Let's pray for it.
Okay. Okay, so as you guys are still finishing up your blueberries, feel free to put it into a bowl. That will just help it cool a little bit more. Technically, if you didn't have space and you just wanted to put the whole pan in, you could, but maybe a bowl is better. And then we're gonna kind of just clean up a little bit and get ready for the panzanella. So we can talk about kind of what ingredients kind of go into that and what the process is, and then do it once everyone's ready.
Yeah, for sure. I think that As I said before, the panzanella, it's a traditional salad that they usually do in Italy. And they usually use the leftovers bread and the tomatoes, and they add some olive oil and makes it really soggy bread, right?
Mhm.
But in my point of view, I love like crunchiness and the taste of the bread, and I really don't feel like we should use a soggy bread, you
Right.
know?
We can kind of almost make like a crouton.
Yeah, but it gets the mixture of it because we're gonna make like a crouton, really crunchy bread. But when we mix it with the tomatoes releasing their like juice, it will be a little bit soggy, but it still have some texture.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have all the flavors and the textures, and it's gonna be great.
And just like so fresh.
Yeah, it's so fresh, and especially the basil adds such
Mhm.
a fresh feeling. It's really, really good. We also gonna use the zest of a lemon. So because I really like, I think I'm addicted to it, you know, like I really like to put lemon zest everywhere.
That's great.
But yeah, it's a
So we'll
nice
still keep
touch.
your zester. You'll
Yeah.
want to hold on to the zester that you just used. We'll
Yeah.
use that again.
Don't even need to wash, okay?
Great.
Just
Yeah.
let's use it.
Sounds good.
And we also gonna make a base of vinaigrette. And the vinaigrette is basically mixing a part of fat, which we're gonna use the olive oil, to a part of acid. So we're gonna use the lemon juice.
Okay.
But you can also use other acid ingredients, like you can mix orange juice with some vinegar. You can
Oh.
also use vinegar. You can use mandarin juice. You can be creative, you
That's
know?
so clever. I haven't thought about combining like orange with vinegar,
Yeah.
you know,
You
because it's so
increase it.
sweet.
Yeah.
The orange is so sweet that like adding that tart sour to an orange, but and because the lemon does it perfectly. It's got like the sweet but also sharp
You know
notes.
ceviche?
Yes.
I love using orange in the ceviche.
Oh.
So I always mix lemon with orange. So it breaks down the acidity,
Yeah.
but also brings you like a sweetness and just balances everything.
That's clever. That's
It's
really
really
clever
good.
to do orange with ceviche.
And I also add the zest
Ooh.
everywhere. So
Ooh,
the orange
yes.
zest and the lemon zest everywhere.
Oh, okay, we're gonna have to talk about that.
Yeah, so for that, I think let's just wash the ingredients, the tomatoes and the lemon, so we can be ready to prepare.
Okay,
Okay.
so I know you guys are still finishing up. Awesome, good, Karen. I hope you guys try just a spoonful because it is so delicious. Just and the color, I just can't get over.
Yeah.
Blueberries are, there's nothing better than blueberries. So we're getting ready for Panzanella. We're not gonna rush anybody. You guys take your time. I know there's, 30 households that are doing this, so take your time. We're washing our tomatoes. We'll wash our lemon. We've got sourdough bread from Central Illinois Bakehouse. We did a big special order with them, and so they brought that in fresh for us. They're amazing. They just the owners just bought up Prairie Fruits Farm and Creamery, so they're expanding their creamery. And they also own Martinelli's Market, which is like a really nice sandwich. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, their bread is amazing.
They're really good. And if you haven't had their desserts, definitely recommend that. So we've got the bread. We've got our one lemon. We've got our two tomatoes. We've got the olive oil, the half cup of olive oil. We've pre-portioned everything really for you. So half a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. We're gonna use, let's double check on that.
Shallots.
1 shallot, 2 cloves of garlic, a teaspoon of salt, but we also have more salt. You might have to, if you need it saltier, you might have to use more salt, but I think you've got your flavors on point. Ground pepper, and then fresh basil. We had a little bit more basil through our special order for you guys. So I just gave you as much as I could give. So feel free to utilize your basil.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for this recipe, for example, if you are doing again and you don't have the basil, you can always use another herbs that you like.
Nice.
So I like basil because really reminds me like Italian food,
Yeah.
but you can always use parsley, cilantro,
I love cilantro.
chips, you know, anything that gives like a freshness to the
So let's talk
recipe.
about, Kieran's asking, what kinds of prep bowls and cooking pans do we need for the panzanella? So,
We will only need a pan for the pan. Yeah, this one.
okay, so we're gonna need like a skillet,
Skillet.
and then we're gonna need the zester again. We're gonna need a cutting board, a
And-
couple knives. One, I think we're gonna use a bread knife
Yeah.
and a chef's knife.
Yeah.
Um,
And a bowl. I
and a
think
bowl.
2 bowls.
okay, a couple bowls.
Yeah.
What kinds? Like these ones, like a
Yeah, I
small
think
bowl and a big bowl?
small one and a big one for everything. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll do that again. So 2 bowls, a small and a big one for the panzanella. We're going to be kind of toasting our bread in a larger skillet. So you're going to need a skillet, cutting board, knife, zester, and maybe some utensils, and also lemon citrus squeezer.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, are we ready? Anybody have any questions before we start?
So one of the things that I really like to play with when I'm making salad with tomatoes, and here in US, your guys are so great at it when you have like different colors with tomatoes. Like in Brazil, it's really hard to find sometimes. We only have the normal ones, you know?
Okay.
But here I could find like
yeah,
so
we
many
like all of our
colors.
colored tomatoes.
And that's amazing because it just adds like different colors in the same recipe. And guys, if you're cooking, you don't want to only think about the flavor. You want to attract how people look at the food, how people smell the food, the senses they have with texture, and everything gives you a different experience, you know?
So Carissa had a question about, so everybody's ready. Carissa says, what's the purpose of the step about resting the shallots in water?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I forgot about this. Yeah, so shallots or onions, whatever you want to use. In my point of view, I really don't like to feel the flavor when it's raw and it's super like strong and
Like burns?
kind of burns and kind of too spice. I don't know. So it really like smooths the flavor, but it keeps the texture, and that's what makes you feel like you don't remember the onions and the shallots after you eat, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It
Right.
doesn't remain in your mouth, and we don't want that.
Okay.
So just put it in the water for some time, and that's good. Thank you so much for remembering this, because that's the first thing we should do.
Okay, so we're going to get just another small little bowl.
Yeah.
For putting the chopped shallot into. We haven't done the shallot, we haven't chopped the shallot yet, but we
Yeah.
will put it in a little water. So thanks, Carissa.
So you can add cold water. The cold water, if you put like even ice on it, it's great because when it's super cold, it helps the shallot or the onion to remain crunchy. But if you don't care about the crunchiness and you just want to take a little bit of this bitter flavor that we don't want, you can use warm water.
Okay.
So
how should they chop the shallot?
we're gonna try to chop as small as possible.
Okay.
I like really small squares, cubes.
Yeah.
So I usually cut like this in the middle and take the peel off like this.
So we're just slicing lengthwise, removing the skin. And shallots are so delicate. Like,
Okay.
but powerful. They're almost like the super onion. Okay, sorry about that. Thanks, Karen. They were like, we can't see what our hands are doing. Okay, I'll make sure. Sometimes I get so distracted. I'm like, I'm looking too close at.
It's just when my
Oops.
mom makes video calls with me, she's like, look at this, and she's not showing me anything. I was like, Mom, focus.
So we're just using one shallot. The rest are gonna be for the risotto.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to take only the peel off. I don't want to waste any layers.
Okay.
So can be a little bit.
You also chopped the bottom root end off to
Yeah,
help with that.
come on.
Okay. And then you're just slicing lengthwise,
Yeah,
kind of
so
along those grid, the grid.
exactly.
So it's gonna be a very fine mince. Beautiful.
I always see those chefs telling you to cut like
I
this.
know.
I cannot do
I
that.
can't do it
My
either.
fingers are not made for it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need to put like
I know. I feel I've tried learning. So you're just going right into the cold water with the fine minced shallot.
yeah.
Yeah, my boyfriend is a cook. He's been a cook
Oh.
for a long time, and he can do the fancy knuckle knife guiding.
No, I
I
cannot do
need
that.
that, like, I haven't cut myself. It's always good to learn new skills, so I appreciate that. But I think the best thing that you can do with knife skills is just really learn your knives and like trust, the more
Yeah.
that you work with a certain knife and making sure it's sharp, I think that will really help. And, there's so much judgment on how you cook, but there's,
You have to cook the way you can.
yeah, yeah.
No judgment.
hmm So we're just one shallot finely minced, and then she's placing it into these cold water.
Yeah,
Okay.
and when we're gonna use it, I think it would be good to have a sieve
Okay.
to separate as they are super small. But yeah. So we're gonna place this here until the end. We don't have like a specific time. I would say like 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Should be good.
Ooh, Genevieve says scissors help me a lot. That's wonderful. Okay, so we are doing good on time.
Yeah.
We're about an hour in, so we're doing good.
Okay, so now we're gonna cut the tomatoes. I don't want them super small. I'm gonna try to cut them like the same size I would cut the bread.
Okay.
So I would say like cutting them. I'm gonna show you. So before you do it, okay, I think it will be easier. So I would say like this size.
Okay. So you sliced the tomato in thirds lengthwise, and then you're kind of just cutting them into quarters, each third slice into quarters. So they're about about an inch cube.
Yeah, and I just try to take this part
Oh yeah,
out.
take the stem off. Great. So decent like inch chunks of tomato. I'm gonna do that for both tomatoes and put them in a bowl.
I think I'm gonna use the big one, this one for
Yeah.
the sauce.
Okay, any questions so far? So we finally minced our shallot, put that into cold water in a bowl. And then now we're just slicing our tomato, removing the stem. And just slicing, yeah, we sliced it into thirds lengthwise for both tomatoes. Thanks, Jamie. So both tomatoes are gonna get chopped into like 1-inch dice. And you'll put the tomatoes in a bowl.
Yeah.
So here's the bowl for that.
I'm getting hungry.
I know, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I love so much about our virtual classes is while we do in-person classes, you know, the virtual classes came out of COVID, obviously, and but because of you guys, have so much of interest in this, it's a great way to really get all the hands-on experience that you know that you kind of hope for, and then you get all of the ingredients. You get to enjoy the whole meal afterwards, so you don't have to divide it up into 12 portions for every class participant.
Yeah. So now we're gonna cut the bread.
Okay.
Trying to reach as the same size as the tomatoes that we cut.
Okay.
So you don't have to be perfect here, okay? Just make sure you use if you have a bread knife, because it's easier and it doesn't like
Hair.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So again, we're looking for like inch slices of bread, but we're not gonna put the bread into a bowl, right? Because we're gonna actually like toast them up on the skillet.
Yeah, that's true.
So we gave you, I think, 4 slices of bread, but you're only using, are you gonna use all the bread or just half?
We can do it, and in the end we decide how much we're gonna pour
good
together
idea.
with
Good
the
idea.
bread. And if you don't want to, you just take some bites in the middle.
So the recipe said 2 slices of bread, but we wanted to make sure that you had enough bread. So we gave you 4. So feel free to chop it all up. And then either you'll have extra crouton or you decide you want to add it in. It's up to you guys. So we're putting are we going to put the tomatoes in the big bowl? Is that what we did? This is technically the big bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we put the tomatoes in the big bowl because the small bowl, I guess we actually, in reality, we needed 3 bowls. We needed one for the shallot water, and then a big bowl for the actual salad components, like where the tomato is right now. And then we'll need another bowl for the dressing.
Yes, that's true.
Thanks for hanging in there. Holly family says, you can never have enough bread, winky face.
That's true.
I'm with you.
And this bread is so delicious.
It's really good. And like, we wanted to make sure you had asked for a crusty bread. So the sourdough bread that they have is really good. So I hope I answered everybody's questions. So DHS said, we have 4 pieces of bread. Should we use all or just 2 large ones? And then do we put the tomatoes in a big bowl or the small bowl? So use all the bread. We're going to kind of basically fry it up or toast it up. And then we put those chopped tomatoes into a big bowl here.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So now that we do have the bread in cubes, we're gonna heat up the skillet.
Okay.
And add just a little bit of the olive oil that we have.
Okay. So how much olive oil? You think like a tablespoon?
Let's see, but I think it's gonna be like 2 tablespoons. You can get like a silverware and.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So like 2 tablespoons of olive oil from the olive oil container that we gave you. It's gonna coat the skillet. Sorry, here's the.
And I would also add a pinch of salt.
Okay.
And add the bread.
Okay.
And then you have this marvelous sound.
Ours is always heating up a little bit faster than others. So the 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then once that you want it to kind of like sizzle when you're adding the bread. And then what do they look for? They just kind of want to have it like toast up?
Yeah, a little bit brown, and you can see that the texture will be changing. So it will not be so soft. And we want them to get a little bit brown in kind of at least 2 sizes, you know?
Okay.
So we're gonna let a little bit here until it toast a little bit from one size. Then we move a little bit. Let's see how it goes.
This pan sometimes bows in the middle, bows in the middle,
Yeah.
so we'll just keep an eye. If
Yeah.
it's too hot, we can reduce.
And if we see that there's not too much olive oil for all the pieces, we can also add a little bit more,
Okay.
like,
So add maybe add like another tablespoon or
yeah,
teaspoon, just drizzle.
drizzling around.
Nothing's better than this.
And this is also like a really good option for other salads in case you want to do it. And, oh, it's toasty.
Again, ours always toast
fast.
really fast.
Really fast.
Do you want a
let me grab-
spatula or
yeah.
like a one of these?
Yeah. Ooh, really fast. Let's put a little bit less.
Yeah. So keep an eye out. If your bread is burning or getting too toasty, reduce the temperature because we do want to be able to evenly cook the bread.
And this croutons, you can also make changes as well. So in the end, when you finalize toasting, and you can also do with butter too. It's a good option if you mix it with Parmesan or some
Like after it's toasted,
yeah,
put like
after it's
Parmesan cheese on it.
toasted, and
Ooh.
when it's still warm and you just mix it with the Parmesan or also with some parsley really chopped, and it gets like more easy to stick to the bread. Oh, it's so good.
That sounds delicious.
And you put on top of salads, it just gives you a crunchiness, and you can also make it more spicy.
Do you want me to increase the temperature now a little?
Yeah, a little bit.
So how's everyone doing?
Is everybody in the same stage?
Good. It's possible we might run over just a little bit with the risotto, but we'll keep an eye. It won't take too long. Awesome.
We are late?
No,
No?
well, depending on how long the risotto takes, we might need a
Like
little more time.
40 minutes?
40 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Awesome, Manuel. Great, Shannon and Jan J. So keep an eye on your temperature. We're kind of like lowering the temperature when it gets too hot and then increasing it when we need it to go back up. So we want to make sure that it's not stagnant but not burning.
Yeah.
Has anyone made panzanella before? I made a panzanella before, but I also we had a recipe that we had just started carrying these local cheese curds, so like these that are really good. They are great melted, so we did like a panzanella, but then had these melted kind of like crusty chunks of cheese.
Oh, perfect.
And it was really good.
Something that goes really well with this salad too is if you kind of mix with the Greek style. So you can mix with the olives, like black olives, and also some feta cheese.
Oh yeah,
Oh, it gets so perfect.
that's fantastic.
Oops.
Carissa says, I've made salads like this a few times. Alia says, I've made it and I love it. Fali family says, make an Indian dish that's similar. DHS says, never made panzanella before, excited to try. Fantastic. Fantastic.
So you can see that some of them got a little bit like this, more burnt, and some are still really white. I think we only want to have like in the middle, you know?
Okay, yeah, yeah. Ideally have a little color on all of them if possible. Let me increase.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. And then it's been, I would say, maybe almost 10 minutes for the shallot. I don't know. We want to keep it in the water until we're ready for it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's no time limit on that.
No, that's
Good.
okay.
Okay. This looks good. Oh my gosh, it's so tempting. It's like reminds me of like little grilled cheeses.
Oh, I love bread.
Oh, so you we were talking previous to the class starting, and Yulia had said how you had started a like coffee shop on the beach.
Yes, it was a different moment of my life. So I had just finished my graduation, and I was like after the pandemic, and I was freaking out, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna change my life. My brother used to live in the beach, and he used to have like the perfect life, you know, like it's summer, he gets the gas because he used to have like a hotel there and a pizzeria too. And when it's winter, he gets to surf. So
Oh my
like
gosh, that sounds like paradise.
so perfect. And I said, why am I like wasting my life in the countryside? And oh my God, I'm gonna go to the beach. And you know what? I'm gonna open a coffee shop. That's always been my dream. So let's do it.
That's
So
fantastic.
I did it. And the crazy part is that the season there starts after Christmas. So that's
Yeah.
when people start to travel around.
Mhm.
And I got there in the end of October. So I had only November to open a coffee
Oh
shop.
my gosh, and you did it.
And we did it. And it was crazy. Oh my God.
That sounds like
I
so
was,
exciting.
yeah, I was working like 24/7.
Oh,
And I was not only working at the coffee shop, but I did like a brunch menu there. And I was helping to like recreate the pizzeria
yeah.
menu. So I was getting crazy.
I bet that's yeah, you seem like you're always busy, or you find the things to do to keep you busy. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Oh my gosh, the comment section, that's hilarious. It said Guspad said, Jen, am glad that there was extra bread because some of it disappeared, smiley face.
It happened.
And then Shannon and Jante said, help, we can't stop eating the sourdough cubes. Oh my gosh, me too. I might have to eat one.
I must say, like my boyfriend's in the room, but if he was in our house, this half of there shouldn't be all of
Please
it.
help yourself. Pick your favorite.
I think we're
Eat
good
away.
because
Okay.
I could see like most of them are kind of, it has at least one side
Yeah.
brown, and if you pick, they're kind of,
Crispy.
yeah, I think we're good.
Great. Okay, so we're gonna turn it off. So you're like just wanting like those, you want it to look like a grilled cheese, where it's like kind of got that.
Oh, so good.
Oh man. All right, one more. Oh yeah. And no salt needed, but it felt salty.
Mhm. I put a little
Oh,
a
did you?
pinch, yeah.
Okay, put a little pinch of salt.
I put it in the beginning, but you can add
Oh,
anywhere.
that's good. That's really good.
And if you want to add like any herbs, dry herbs, fresh herbs, or even some black pepper, it's a great idea. So
Okay.
I'm gonna place it in a big bowl.
Or
We don't have to if you don't want to. Let's keep it here.
okay, we'll keep
That's
it in the
okay.
skillet.
Yeah.
All right. Until we're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so next thing.
Next thing, we're gonna prepare the vinaigrette.
Okay.
So the vinaigrette is basically a base of dressing that everybody can do it, and it's super easy, and you can just use a part of oily part to 1 part of oily part to 3 parts, oh sorry, 3 parts of oily part and 1 part of
Vinegar or
acidic,
acid.
yeah,
Okay, sounds good.
So for the acid part, we're gonna use the lemon. So we're gonna also use the zest, as I said. So
Okay.
you can start with it.
Sounds good.
Just taking the yellow part. Always remember not to take the white part from the peel.
Great. And you washed it, so feel free to wash your lemon if you haven't.
Yes.
So we're just gonna zest the whole lemon and put it into that small bowl that we talked about.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our croutons are doing their thing. They're looking good over there. They're looking
Yeah.
tempting.
A lot.
I'm so glad. So we had already had our tomatoes, our shallots are still good. They're in the water. So will we use all of the rest of the olive oil? Will that be the base, you think?
So. Yeah, I
great.
think we're gonna use it. And if you guys like, if you have leftovers dressing, you can keep it in a container and use for a week or so.
So they won't need to use potentially all of the dressing.
Yeah, it's up to you. And also, it's a good dressing to keep in the fridge. It can be, if you wait a little bit, it can separate the oily part from the watery, but it's just mixing again, shaking the container, and it will emulsify again. So, let me.
So we're all done with the zest on the lemon. So we're just gonna slice the lemon in half and then what do you think? How are you gonna juice both of them?
Let's see how juicy it is.
Okay.
But I would say you can use the whole lemon that you have there. It's really big to
Or
fit
should
in
we-
this. I think I'm
Is there I
gonna
know.
use my hands.
So
I placed the hand to grab the seeds.
okay, good idea. Yeah, these lemons were huge.
And they're very juicy.
And no lemons needed for the asparagus, right? I don't
No.
think so. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
So it looks like we're gonna try and use both, like the entire lemon, you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Small seeds. They're tricky.
So just juice the whole lemon after you've zested it. And if your lemon doesn't fit into your citrus squeezer, just squeeze it into your hand to collect all the seeds. Perfect.
So now if you have the
Oh yeah, we need a whisk.
Yeah. The
Okay.
whisk. We're gonna also add the Dijon mustard that you have there. It's only 1 tablespoon. It's 1 tablespoon.
Or like a half tablespoon.
Half tablespoon.
Yeah. So all the Dijon is gonna go into your lemon juice and your lemon zest in that small bowl. Perfect.
Scrape all of it. And if you don't have a whisk, something that you can do that also it's very easy. Just grab a jar with a lid and put everything inside and shake it really
Okay,
well so that
sounds
it
good.
will emulsify as well.
Okay.
So a pinch of salt.
So not the whole thing.
I would wait a little bit because salt is tricky. You can add more, but you can never take it out, right?
Totally.
So
So
let's put
maybe
like
just a
3.
couple pinches
Yeah,
of salt.
and black pepper. I would put everything. That's
All the pepper?
all the pepper,
Great.
but as you like. I
Maybe
would
like half
say.
the salt that we gave you. So.
Yeah.
But if you like salt, then do your thing and feel free to put all the salt. We just did half and then we'll maybe add more once we taste it.
Yeah, so the olive oil, you can put everything.
Okay. Rest of the olive oil.
And the garlic, we can peel it.
Okay. So the 2 cloves of garlic are gonna go get you things like minced.
You can minced, you can
Grate.
grate, yeah, in any, like I can use the zest, the microplane.
Okay.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting. Like if you have a garlic that shows the sprouts here in the middle, it's always good to take this out.
The sprout.
Yeah, because that's what it gives the garlic a really strong flavor after you eat them.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah,
So if your garlic is sprouting, feel free to take the sprout part off because that will
Yeah.
give that burn
yeah,
that you maybe don't want. That's good to know.
yes.
Any questions so far? You guys doing okay? So we added all the olive oil. So we added all the olive oil, the Dijon, all the pepper, half of the salt, all the lemon, all the zest from the lemon, and now we're chopping up. We're gonna mince up our garlic.
Yeah.
Krista had a question saying, oops, sorry, just
I'm gonna use the knife just
Okay.
because I cut it to take the sprouts off, so it's gonna be easier. So just cut as you smaller as you can. Don't need to be super precise.
Krista says, if we're planning to save some of this for tomorrow, would
Mhm.
you recommend mixing it now or saving the vinaigrette until serving?
You mean all the panzanella
I think
or the dressing?
I would say, Krista, if you're gonna make some of the, if you're gonna have serve some of the panzanella tomorrow,
I would mix tomorrow.
mix tomorrow
Yeah.
and keep them things separate.
Yeah,
And then definitely keep the bread separate because it will get soggy.
exactly. Like I would keep like the way we're doing now. I would keep the tomatoes in a container in the fridge. I will keep this dressing in a jar in the fridge, and the bread out of the fridge. Probably in a Ziploc or something so it can remain crunchy. And the dressing, if it separates by tomorrow, you can always shake again and will be together again.
Oh, I think we did. Karen was like, I thought the garlic was for the skillet, for the bread, which I think
You can do it too. Maybe I thought about it, but I don't know. But you can use both ways. When you do it in a skillet, I would add in the end. I will not add in the beginning because it can be burned.
okay.
So it gets a little bit bitter if you burn the garlic. But once, if you prefer to use it more roast garlic than raw garlic because it's strong, you can use it in a skillet in the end. Yeah.
So I think we forgot. I think it's in the recipe that we would do the
In
I
the
had
skillet?
forgotten. I forgot about that. But we're just gonna chop it up and add it to our dressing. So if you do like cooked garlic, you could heat it up, but I think it will be just fine this way.
Yeah. And now we're gonna sieve the shallots that we
Okay. Let me
sliced
get you a
before.
strainer.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Let
Or
me throw this
maybe I
away.
could just rinse that really quick.
Yeah.
So we're rinsing the same sieve that we used for the panzanella just to
Yeah. The gelatin got sticky.
oh, let me break that. Okay. Yeah, it's too hot. No, it's okay. So we're gonna strain the shallot. Okay. Perfect.
Gonna put it together with the vinaigrette.
Yummy. Okay.
Now we mix everything
Okay.
until it's combined. So you,
Beautiful. Look at that. That
yeah,
looks so like emulsified already.
yeah, you're gonna see the texture changes a lot.
So we're just
Great.
whisking everything up. And then what about the basil? Does the basil go in like as leaves, or do you chop it up?
Yeah,
Or
I like to chop part of it,
Mhm.
and then we use the whole leaves in the end just to
Mm,
make it
pretty.
more pretty. Yeah.
Nice.
So you can see like it's
That's
super creamy
yeah.
and it gets a totally different texture than the beginning.
Yeah. That's great.
And I'm making a mess.
That's
here.
okay. That's all right. Here, we've got trash
We
over
have
here. Okay. So should we taste it?
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for if it needs any more salt. Mhm. Ooh, looks so good, you guys. Mm. Ooh, really nice. Mm.
I think I need a little bit more salt.
Okay, got it. So we're doing a couple more pinches of salt. And so the shallot is going to go right into the dressing.
Yeah.
So we put the shallot, we strain the shallot and we put it right into the dressing. And so we whisked it up and it almost like helped it emulsify. Gaspard said it's good with croutons. I'm so glad you guys like the croutons. That's isn't it just like a simple pleasure, you know?
So good. So with the basil leaves, you're gonna separate them from the stem.
Okay,
Oh, it smells so good.
great.
You barely touch them and they just release all the smell. So great.
One little trick if you're ever using fresh herbs for cocktails or you want them to be activated.
Touch them.
Yeah, you slap them. You like you hold them in one of your palms and then you just slap it and it just
They just
activates.
release. So the most beautiful leaves we can separate like for the end.
Okay.
I know there's always the beautiful ones, you know.
Yeah. And I try not to give you any that have some black or brown spots, but there are a couple I'm seeing. So
Happen.
sorry about that. But depending on how bad it is, you can utilize them or discard. So
Okay, now that I separate the leaves, I put some
okay.
whole ones here. I'm gonna slice them. Oh, these ones look cute too.
Aw, so you have about like maybe like 7 like perfect little leaves that
Yeah.
are gonna be a garnish, and then the rest, you're just gonna slice them thinly or
Yeah, you can slice them or even tear them like this, uneven, don't have to be perfect.
okay,
I think I will do this way,
okay,
rustic
cool.
style.
Yeah, just tear them.
Yeah.
Great. Carissa, this you had mentioned about preparing some for tomorrow. So basil, the more you chop it, it might turn black. So
Yeah.
maybe leave some fresh basil to incorporate, or
And
you might be able to put it in your dressing to hold it will kind of capture the flavor and keep it from going black if you put it in your dressing. But you kind of just wanted to mix it
yeah,
into your
I will keep it fresh by the time you serve, so it
Mhm.
can release like the powerful smells by the time they're being served. So now we have this bunch of basil. We mix them with the tomatoes. So just put them there. And for all of this, I would say we can wait until the end to mix it up everything, and
Okay.
they're good to be served
Great. Okay.
with the risotto. Okay, so if, as I said, if the dressing separates the olive oil from the rest, we can always whisk and
Mix
make it get together again.
Alia, you said, can you use stems? So typically we don't, but you
You could use
if you
for
want
making
to.
like vegetable broth or something like that,
Mm.
but I wouldn't use right now.
Okay, just the leaves
Just for
ideally.
texture, I would say.
Yeah. There are some of you that got like really big stems and they're almost like woody, so I wouldn't use those. But if anybody uses them for something, feel free to put it in the chat. I'm always really curious
So
about
here I put the good leaves in the small empty container just for us to,
for garnish.
yeah.
So we put the majority of the basil in with the tomatoes and then kept a little tiny stash of our pretty leaves
yeah.
for garnish. Okay, is it time for risotto?
Yeah, it's time.
Woo! Okay, you guys. So let's talk about the risotto and what you're gonna need. So we've got some things over here. So you're gonna need a small skillet, or if you want to use the same skillet that you did the pan, you can do that.
Let's do this way. We can use the same skillet. We can pour the bread with the tomato, as the tomato is not releasing too much
Okay, great.
liquids yet. So we
Great.
put on top, so it's not gonna absorb the liquids.
Okay. So we did put the bread in with the tomatoes because there's no dressing on it yet, so it won't get soggy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the skillet, we're gonna prepare first the asparagus that we're gonna use in the risotto.
Okay.
So I believe we need to wash this.
Yeah. So we'll wash the asparagus. I'll talk to you about what other stuff you're gonna need. So
Yeah.
we're gonna reuse the same skillet that we used for the bread, and that's gonna be for cooking up our asparagus. You're also gonna need kind of larger saucepan for the risotto. Okay.
And I would say a small one too, so we
Small?
can warm
Yeah.
up the broth.
Oh yeah, okay. Plus, so we're gonna need a bigger saucepan or like soup pot for the risotto, and then a smaller pan.
Yeah, we can take this one.
You can also use the one you use for the panna cotta if you want. But we're gonna heat up the broth.
Yeah.
Because I think as you're making the risotto, you need to just increase, kind of continually give it more liquid and hot liquid.
Yeah.
Okay, so technically 3 pans: a skillet, a stock pot or soup pan or a larger saucepan, and then a smaller saucepan.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to do the risotto in the skillet, if it's big enough to fill up all the rice that we're gonna use, you can do that.
Okay.
Less things to wash in the end,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
But you can do that.
yeah. You just need a big enough container for the 2 cups of rice, which
yeah.
to be pretty much.
Yeah, you just have to imagine that it's gonna double the size. So it's gonna be more volume that the one we have dry. So yeah, just find
And Nuri, just to answer your question, we did put the cubed bread in with our tomatoes, just so we could reuse the skillet again. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you washed your asparagus. What other things do we need? We can move this out of the way if that helps.
Yeah. Let's take this, and I bring all the other ingredients here.
All right. So for the risotto, we're gonna use arborio rice, white wine, and then we've got 2 things of broth. We've got a whole container of broth, as well as a smaller 2-cup. So we've also got shallots, brie,
Garlic, thyme.
butter, and pepper, and then we'll also probably need salt.
Yeah.
And then we've also we forgot to put this on the list, but you're gonna need a peeler if you want to peel your asparagus, and then a bowl. Okay.
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 Are you guys going? Are we on the same track?
I think we're good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the first thing we should do is warm up a little bit our broth,
Okay. So all of the broth go into
the
like
saucepan.
the saucepan, and then you just want to keep it like you just want to get it hot. Is that right?
Yeah.
So we'll put in the whole container of your broth, whether it's vegetable or chicken, as well as the 2 cups that we portioned in the other container. Oh, and grab a spoon if you want. If there's sediment on the bottom, feel free to scoop that in there. You got it? Great. Because that's all the flavor. Okay, so we've got one stovetop that's going to be heating up all the broth. All right, and we can kind of just keep an eye on that. We don't want it to be boiling, but I do
Yeah.
have it on high to heat it up. Okay, all right.
Okay, so now I think we can start with the asparagus. And the idea I have for the asparagus is to use some of them to decorate, to make it cute in the end. And part of it is gonna add flavor and a little bit of texture inside the risotto.
Nice.
So as you like, I would say I would keep the most beautiful ones for putting in the end. So keep them whole. I
And
will
then
keep
Tolly
my
family, you're gonna use both containers. So you're gonna use the packaged container, both packaged containers. One, the 2 cups, and then the whole other container. So all broth goes into a bowl or into a saucepan to be heated up.
yeah.
Okay.
So we take the bottom part out,
Okay, chop it off.
chop it off, and I wouldn't I don't like to do this snapping because sometimes it takes more than you need. So you can also use the peel if you think there is more fibers than you want to,
Oh.
and you can see how the fibers are present by the color it presents. So it's less green, it's more like purple or white, and then it gets bad when you're chewing, you know?
Like too fibrous. So
Yeah,
instead of like doing that snap method where you just like snap the asparagus and let it separate, you're just gonna chop off the bottoms whenever, wherever you think the toughest part is, and then all you're gonna do is peel just the bottom.
yeah. And
Oh.
if you're peeling, try to be delicate so you don't take too much of the asparagus, you
Okay.
know?
Okay.
You want to keep them kind of green. You don't want, for example, if I go too deep, it starts to get white, you know? So you want to be delicate and take only the superficial part.
Great. So you separated half the asparagus.
I'm gonna do this step with all of them.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna show you how we can proceed. This is sticky. And as I was saying, like the risotto, it's a really, how can I say, simple recipe that you can change as you like.
Mhm.
So for example, if you want to add different flavors in the broth, you can also do that to add color to, for example, if you want to make it with saffron and gets a really yellow risotto, it's really nice. You can put the saffron in the broth and the risotto will look amazing. You can also change by the way you start, like you're gonna start with the asparagus to give a little bit of flavor, but you can also use pumpkin puree or any other vegetable. If you want to make a pink risotto, you can do with beetroot.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that
you
sounds
have
really fun.
yeah, you have a whole universe to create different risottos. And even the simplest ones, like if you want to make it bland and only cheese on it and butter, why not? It's a great call.
So we're just continuing to peel the bottom of the asparagus. If there's really tough bottoms, feel free to cut them off. Cut off the bottom part, but they are looking really good.
There is one risotto that I really love. It's the nuts one.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I make like a mix of nuts and it gets so amazing and you mix with cheeses. So it gets creamy, but you also have the crunchiness from the nuts.
I
and
love that.
Oh, it's so
That
good.
sounds like so delicious because the risotto already has like this like creamy, nutty flavor. So that's just fantastic. So guys, we're gonna go a little over time, but you let us know if you have anything after this and we can kind of talk about the full process in case anybody has to cut out at 5. But we're gonna, I guess the overall process, you want to describe that a little?
Yeah, so now we're only gonna grill it the asparagus a little bit with some butter and salt just to change the colors. We don't want to leave them too soft. So just scare them a little bit with the heat. And part of them we're gonna keep them whole and part of them that we're gonna slice a little bit. So we're gonna incorporate in the end in the risotto.
Okay.
So once we did the asparagus, we start the risotto from the beginning without having any asparagus in the risotto yet.
Okay.
Okay. So for the risotto, we start with the butter and the garlic and the shallots, and we make them a little bit translucent, you know.
Okay.
Then we add the rice and we add the white wine. And the white wine, we want the white to the wine to release the alcohol so the alcohol can evaporate, but the flavor remains. So once you see that the wine is kind of almost dry, then we start adding the broth and then we mix and then we add broth and then we mix again and then we do all this process mixing a lot because this mixing will release the starch that contains in the rice. So that's the starch that will give you the creaminess in the end. And in the end, we add the cheese and the butter to make it more creamy, more perfect.
Yeah.
And the asparagus
That we've already cooked.
Yeah.
That's delicious. So yeah, our broth is getting hot. So I'm gonna just turn it on way low.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the premise of a risotto, if anyone's not made it before, what's interesting about risotto is you want it to basically get thirsty and you give it water, you give it little portions of
Yeah.
water at a time. So instead of adding all the broth all at once, you want to just only give it smaller portions. So you might need a ladle, I would say. Will they need a ladle for helping like to
Yeah,
Or-
that's true.
or will you just pour the broth in?
Yeah,
How do you?
you can do both ways if
Okay.
it's easier, whatever it's easier for you. But let's start with the asparagus.
Um,
I would say
So, if we might have actually most of the garlic, I think for most people I might have accidentally given our kit more garlic than everybody else. So it's possible that we'll just need to use the shallots. So if you don't
problem.
if you
No
don't have
problem.
garlic left over, that's okay. You'll still have, I think, like 2 to 3 shallots that we'll use.
So with the butter, I cut like 1.5 teaspoon.
Tablespoons?
Tablespoon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Tablespoon.
So we're gonna do the asparagus first. So 1.5 tablespoons of butter into the skillet. And then we want just like high heat or
Medium.
medium? Let's do it like that. And then you wanted like 5 of the really nice asparagus to stay whole. And then the rest is gonna be kind of like chopped up.
Yeah, so we're gonna start with the whole ones. Ooh. So we can start putting them there and a pinch of salt and pepper. Just until they change a little bit the color.
Okay. So right now we're just doing the like 5 really nice ones that are whole. A little butter, salt, and pepper pinches. And then do you want me to bring the heat up a little?
Yeah. It's always funny when we have to cook in the different.
A new kitchen,
Yeah.
right?
So this amount of butter that remains in the skillet, it will be good for us to start the risotto. So it will not be too much, you know?
Oh,
So whatever flavors we have in the skillet, in the end, we can use. And if you're gonna use it, the other saucepan to make the risotto, you can scrap out this fat
okay,
in the skillet.
cool. So we'll still have flavors from the asparagus and sounds good. So I'll just repeat that. So we are probably gonna scrape off any remaining butter and spices that we put the leftover from our asparagus and use that to start our risotto.
So I think we can also slice these
Okay.
once those are getting ready.
And then
And
how big?
just to be kind of cute, I would slice them like this, not like this.
Okay, like angled?
Yeah, angled like this.
Yeah. So maybe like quarter inch angled slices. For the other remaining asparagus. Beautiful. Okay.
So I would say these are almost ready. We don't want them to be too cooked.
Okay.
We want them to hold the texture.
And they need just like a plate.
Yeah. So we place them in a plate.
So our whole ones are done because they're like beautiful and tender. And then we've got the
And-
rest chopped up. So we're just gonna replace them right in. And now is asparagus season. We're just getting in all of our local asparagus. Are you gonna add any more butter or we should be good?
I think we should be good.
You happy with the heat or is it too hot?
Yeah, no, okay, it's okay. So I would put a little bit of salt.
Okay, little salt and pepper.
Yeah. You feel?
This looks so good.
Yeah.
You guys doing okay? So we're on to sauteing the other half that we chopped up of the asparagus. We kept the same amount of butter. We didn't add any more butter, but if yours is dry,
You
feel
can
free to add a little bit
always
more.
add. Yeah.
Mm. And it's nice and bright. It's so interesting that you can really tell when the asparagus is cooked because it just totally changes color.
Yeah, so we don't want them to be overcooked. So once they change colors, we can separate and put it in a bowl or in the same plate as the other ones, just whatever it's easier for you, okay? Sounds good. So you see that we still have some butter in here, and we can
We'll turn it off for
Yeah.
now because we'll just get the shallot
Yeah.
chopped up. Okay.
So you said that they won't have more garlic, right? So
If anybody has garlic, feel free to add it to like add a clove or two.
yeah,
Chop that up. Does anyone have any garlic left? Let me know. I can't quite remember what I told you guys, but you might have already added it into your dressing.
yeah, that's totally fine. Once I saw a chef giving a cooking class, and he said like, you should never put garlic in a risotto. And I thought to myself, like, you should put whatever you want in a
Yeah.
risotto if you like to.
Mm-hmm.
I love garlic. I really think it gives a really good flavor, and soft flavor is not super overpowering. Like, you should know how to use it, right? But if you have, use
Yeah,
it.
I think
If you
we
don't,
I think
that's
we only
okay.
gave you guys two, but if you do have garlic and you're a garlic lover, I know that there's been previous classes where they're like they can't get enough garlic. So, I think we'll just maybe we can do it without garlic since
Yeah.
nobody else has it. So, right now we're just chopping we're peeling the shallot. And then how are we going to chop it? The same as before, or do you want it in a little bit bigger chunks?
Yeah, I I think like we could choose whatever we want, but for this case, I would slice a little bit bigger than the ones we had.
Okay.
Um,
Like a small dice.
yeah,
And these are just like the tiniest shallots.
they're super tiny, so delicate. You know that is super hard to get shallots in Brazil.
Is it?
Yeah, we don't have them. Like super
Yeah.
hard. The first time I used it was when I was in Canada, and I was like,
Oh.
"Ooh, shallots," because I
Yeah.
saw in like cooking recipes,
Uh-huh.
like
It
Jamie
needs that cold
Oliver.
weather. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you need that cold weather, and it takes a long time for onions to grow.
Yeah.
Same with garlic. Like here, you plant it in the fall, and then it
Yeah.
needs all winter, and then only maybe in June or July is it time to like harvest
Yeah.
it. Um,
Garlic in Brazil is one of the most expensive crops to plant. It's really crazy expensive. You have a lot of investments too.
yeah. Is it just because of the weather, like the climate is just
Yeah,
for garlic? Because it's
yeah,
maybe so warm.
exactly.
But
And in Brazil, you don't have the winter to break down the cycle of pests.
yeah.
So insects, they just multiply
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
crazy.
And you guys, but in Brazil, there's so many things that can grow. It's fantastic.
Like the fruits are,
oh,
guys, I must say that you never taste a real banana.
oh, I know.
Really, like
Yeah.
the banana here, I'm sorry, but they don't taste like banana.
Yeah, it's not the same. And
No,
just like how many
papaya.
papaya.
Yeah,
That here also, it's like it does not, it almost tastes wrong sometimes. But it's amazing the type of fruit that's
yeah,
available. And like, or even just the fruit that's so sensitive that it can't handle the transportation.
yeah.
Um,
Like mangoes in Brazil, we used to have we have mangoes like everywhere. Like you can find in the streets mango
mm,
trees, and they are so
oh,
tasteful.
so
And it's so
amazing.
amazing.
So we just put the shallot back into the same skillet, but then will we Are you thinking that, oh, sorry. Oh, there we go. Are you thinking that we'll use this skillet until we decide to move it to another?
I think we can use this for the risotto. I think we'll be even more open for the guys to
Okay, to see?
follow. Yeah.
Okay, but if you want, you could use,
Yeah, the ones you have, like
okay.
if you have a big saucepan, like a big,
let's have this one.
it's a good one too. But
Okay, if you think it's good, yeah,
yeah,
great.
we can.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So if you're gonna be using, if your skillet is very small, then I would say start to saute your shallot into one of your stock pots. But if your skillet happens to have a lip, like a larger lip like ours, feel free to use the same skillet.
Yeah. Do you think
Yeah, maybe.
safest option?
Just to have, because 2 cups, I made risotto with like 1.5 cups, and the amount that it grew was
double.
impressive.
Yeah, they double size.
Mhm.
And I always, every time I cook risotto, I'm always like, oh, it's not enough rice, not enough rice. And I put a little bit. In the end, I end up with leftovers for the whole week.
Yes, yeah. So you guys will definitely have leftovers. So Manuel, you said, can we add garlic at the same time as shallots?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
perfect. And then are we gonna add more butter?
Yeah, we're gonna add like almost 2 tablespoons.
Okay,
2 tablespoons, yeah.
2 tablespoons to the shallots. And you were so good at not wasting anything. So we scooped we're reusing all of the residual oil or butter from the asparagus. Okay. Guys, still with us? You doing good? It's gonna be so tasty.
I'm excited and hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always amazing. It's so nice to cook all together. Good, good. Krista says, keeping up. Good job.
So risotto, I think it was the first recipe I learned to like the first recipe I like to cook for friends and family, you know, because it's easy, it's quick, and everybody loves risotto. Like who doesn't, right? And you always have the chance to make it different. So
So good.
yeah,
Shannon and Janjay says, we're still chopping the shallots, so no worry.
no
Just
worry.
the small dice on your shallots. So peel the shallots like you would an onion, chop it up into a small dice, and then put it into, so whatever you're working with, you want it to be large enough almost to handle like a casserole or like a pasta. So using like a soup pot or like a really larger saucepan will be necessary. Like a Dutch oven, if you have a Dutch oven, I've made risotto out of Dutch ovens before. So you'll add your 2 chopped shallots to with the 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're just gonna simmer this. Beautiful. We've got, check on your broth, make sure it's not boiling. I had to turn ours off because it was.
Yeah.
And I didn't reheat it. So it's still pretty hot.
It should be fine.
Yeah, it's very hot still, so we're good.
So if you see the shallots, they are starting to change a little bit the color, and we don't want the butter to burn, so we don't want the butter to turn like brown or something like that.
Yeah.
So once you see everything has changed a little bit, we can add the rice.
So we're gonna kind of like toast the rice, right?
Yes, that's it. So I don't know if you guys are used to wash rice. In Brazil, like the normal rice we use every day, we usually rinse it a little bit. But this one we never wash it because we don't want to take any starch from it. Yeah.
And it probably washing it doesn't help the toasting process, you know?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
having it dry and toasted is good. What kind of rice do you typically use in
I
Brazilian food?
Oh, the Brazilian one, is I
Is it
I
like
don't know the name,
basmati
but
or is
it's
like short
similar
grain?
to the basmati or the jasmine.
Okay.
Yeah, but it really gets like not clumped together. It gets like
Separated.
loose, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never found the exactly one we use there, but the normal food we have like every day is rice, beans, salad, and the protein. Like,
So good.
yeah.
So fresh. We'll have to have you back to do a
Yes.
Brazilian recipes.
Oh God, I don't know if I am. It's because I am Brazilian, but I would say we have one of the most amazing cuisines. Like, it's so flavorful. We have so many backgrounds put it together. So it's a mix of culture that it's really nice.
That's beautiful.
And every part of Brazil, because I don't know if you guys know Brazil, but Brazil is huge.
Enormous.
Enormous.
And like the Amazon and the coast and
Yeah.
like just it's like such a large portion of South America.
Yeah, and I would say that every region in Brazil, it's a different Brazil. Like, you cannot say it's only one country, one people, one culture. No, it's totally different. North from the southern part, from the south part, and it's totally different.
So I know you said that where you started the coffee shop was on the north along the coast.
Yeah.
Is that where you're from? Or
No,
is there what part
I am more from the countryside, so it's more the region that they grew coffee and they have one of the best cheeses, and it's
bet.
more like a really country food, you know,
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
large farms and this
Mhm.
kind of thing. It's known as the state that has the most amazing food in the country. So I came from the right place.
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, we're glad you're here and it's so nice to have um a lot of our teachers come from, some of them are local, but we love having like different teachers from all over the world. And so we've
Yeah.
had like Nigerian teacher, we've had an Ethiopian teacher, we do regular classes with Sarisha, who's from different parts of India. We had a Ukrainian teacher last year. We have someone that teaches like Chinese and Japanese cuisine. So we're always looking for more instructors, and we love having kind of a medley of different teachers who are passionate about cooking. Because food, I mean, there's so many different types of cuisines that it's
Yeah.
so exciting to have.
And it tells so much about the history of that people, right?
Yeah, right.
And it's really amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would be happy to teach you guys more about the Brazilian cuisine.
That would be amazing.
So guys, here what we want to see is that you will note that the grains will have two colors. Inside there is a really white part, and in the edges you can see that it becoming a little bit translucent. So that's when we want to add the white wine.
Quick questions from Manuel. Sorry, Manuel, I just seeing your post said missed when rice was added. So as soon as the butter and shallots are kind of like feel like they're fully cooked and before the butter turns brown, you want to add all the rice and just start to toast it up until you feel like the ooh, it does smell so good, Karen.
This smells the best.
So you want to add your rice without washing it, just pour it straight in and you're going to kind of toast it up. What I noticed is that the rice kind of gets white, and it starts to smell really good. And some of them could even like get actually toasted a little bit, like change color. But
Yeah.
ours have been toasting for a while, so we're adding gradually our wine. And it's really nice to start with the wine first before the broth because that will kind of like open up, I feel like the grains and they'll just like
Yeah.
kind of absorb.
And also adds up acidity to
Uh-huh.
the preparation. And if you're doing something that it takes a lot of fat, as we are doing the risotto, it takes the butter, it takes the cheese. Is also it's always good to match the fattiness with something acid, so
Mhm.
you can balance the flavors. So with the risotto, we always use the white wine for that because we also use a lot of butter. But also something that I really like to do, and depends on the flavor you are doing your risotto, it's adding a little bit of lemon in the end.
Oh.
But it's optional.
And
Today, if you have lemon leftovers left from the ingredients, you can also do that.
or even eating the dishes together, will help a blend.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how the risotto, so we're using this arborio rice, which is like really needed in order to make risotto, to have this arborio rice.
Yeah.
But it's just so thirsty. Like we added the whole
It absorbs
container
everything.
and it just like wants more.
Yeah, so now you see like the wine is already absorbed. We are ready to put the broth in it. So let's start with,
I can move this closer to you if you want.
yeah.
So how much broth do you add at a time? A
So
ladle?
yeah, it will depend. We're gonna see. But now, for example, I added like a cup, I will say. It looks like a cup like this.
Yeah.
I added this, and then I see how the rice yet is absorbing, and I mix all the time. I stir it, and I want to make the grains like uh moving between them and releasing
Wow.
all the starch.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you're using a spatula, so that's probably what you
yeah,
recommend, right? Because you're
yeah,
kind of
I
scraping the
prefer.
starch around.
So you see that it's already absorbed,
Yeah.
like all the broth. Then I add it again.
And you're gonna have to be kind of like on it. You don't want to, when it starts to get thirsty and you don't want it to burn. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to keep scraping the bottom just to make sure. Oh, but look at that. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Everybody doing okay?
Yeah, tell us, how is it? Are you guys already adding the broth?
Shannon and Jan Jay still toasting the rice, no problem. We toasted the rice for maybe like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
So then after toasting the rice, you'll add the wine gradually. And then you'll start to realize like it's so interesting. Is anybody making this risotto for the first time? Because it's actually going to be really fun. It's almost like it tells you when it needs it. And this is something I find this kind of concept of like adding liquid when the dish is thirsty is something that is traditional to Ethiopian cuisine and the
Oh.
way that one of our instructors makes his lentils. And so he does this really, really intense tomato berbere, like pepper
Oh my God.
blended uh lentil dish
Uh-huh.
with I think he usually uses like green lentils. But he does this type of technique for his lentils where instead of adding all the water for the lentils that you'd ever need for the dish, he adds it as it's needed. So and it still makes it like that starchy but thick.
Yeah.
So it's a really good technique. Um oh, let's see. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, there's so many people that are saying this is their first time. I'm great. That's
Oh, that's
great. Hi,
great.
Kayla. Kayla takes so many
First of
classes. It's
many.
always good to see you sign up. Jamie, that's fantastic. First time. And then you've got a funny face. She's like, first time. Oh. So no worries. You just add broth. Keep it from burning by adding the liquid. And you want this like to be kind of a high simmer, like a constant rolling boil or constant rolling simmer is the type
Yeah.
of temperature you really want for these. And then Shannon and Jante says, first time for us too. Thanks for bearing with us. Oh my gosh. We're so glad you're here. I know you told me how to say your name. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. We made a risotto in the past Common Ground cooking class. I know, that's so great. Tali family, we're crazy about Ethiopian food. Didn't realize there was an Ethiopian class. We haven't had Tesfai teach in a long time, but we have some of his recipes on our website. So if you search our website, we've got all of our previous cooking classes, at least the virtual ones, recorded. And there's some from even like our in-person classes that we've put up. So type in Ethiopian in on our website and it will bring up previous classes. But yeah, he's retiring, so he hasn't taught in a few years. And then Nuri, it's also their first time, so that's so great. So we're adding more liquid. Are you adding like
Yeah.
the same amount of broth every time, or are you just
Yeah.
kind of increasing slowly?
Yeah, I'm adding the same amount, and as soon as I notice that it's being absorbed, I add a little bit more. And you guys might notice that I didn't add any salt yet. So I always prefer to add the salt close to the end, but not all of it. So right now, I think it's a good moment to put part of the salt so it can start
Ah.
like building the flavors. But I wouldn't come to the right amount yet because normally when we are doing risotto, sometimes we use a salty cheese and we don't want the risotto to be too salty after we add the cheese.
Gotcha. So you just added like several pinches. So several pinches of salt. Oh, and then Nuri says, when do we add the thyme at the end, or were we supposed to add it already?
In the end, but not when it's like
About to be served.
about to be served.
Okay, so
I
not
think
yet,
you can
but
do about to be served, but we want them to release more
Yeah.
flavor. So I would add in almost one of the last scoops of broth that we add, we also add the thyme, and it will be fresh and it will release the flavors at the same time. So if we add in the beginning, I would basically put with the butter, so it can release the flavor in the butter. Because some herbs like thyme and rosemary, for example, they're oily herbs. So if you add them in the butter, it will release the flavors in the butter and it will make like a thyme butter, rosemary butter, you know,
that sounds
it's
so
so
good.
strong. But if you add like fresh herbs like parsley or cilantro in the butter, it will burn. So
Yeah.
you won't have the freshness in the flavor.
Mhm.
So it's always nice to put these fresh herbs in the end.
Yeah.
But as the time it's quite in the between, in the middle of both. I like to put like when it has enough heat to release the flavors, but also maintains like the color and its flavor, you know?
No, that makes sense. Karen says, my daughter's made a ramps and mushroom risotto. That's amazing. I don't know, have you had ramps before? They're like they're like a wild garlic onion. Like they're in the allium onion family, but they're like what people forage around in some of the like one of the native onions. That's kind of hard to find. Ramps. So you can use the greens. It's kind of like a rare, but it's really like a perfect spring. It comes out in the spring and it's like one of the first things. So I know that there's been ramp foraging. That's amazing. Oh good, Alia, that's wonderful. I'm glad I said it right. And then Nuri says, oh yeah, you already said about the time. So when it is time to add the time, Will we just pull all the little leaves off of the stem?
Yeah, we basically hold the stem and kind of pinch, yeah, all the leaves from it,
Okay.
because the stem is really tough and not pleasant to chew.
Yeah.
So we don't want them in the risotto.
That's great.
But also, it's always nice to have a small spoon so you can try the rice as you cook
Mhm.
to understand how is it being cooked and the texture that you want. In my point of view, I don't like the risotto to be so soft, you know.
Right. But not crunchy.
Yeah, not crunchy. You don't want them to stick to your teeth, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good to
But
know.
I like the al dente version, as we may say,
Mhm.
but it's depending on the person. Like my mom's really like them really soft and
Kind of like
mushy.
butter.
I'm always like, don't do that, please. But yeah, she likes that way.
Ryan had a question. Will we use all the butter?
I don't think so, unless you really like butter. But
So would we use like maybe like 2 more tablespoons, you think?
I think, yeah, maybe 1.5 in the end, as the cheese is already really
Buttery.
creamy and buttery. I would not add. But to be honest, I would say that most of the recipes people use a lot of butter. So it's up to you.
And there's a lot of different ones I've seen, like some even use like heavy cream at the end, but there's nothing better than butter. Um,
Yeah, butter and a great cheese. I think that's the best combination to any risotto.
if you haven't taken out your brie from the fridge, now would be a good time. Ours has
Yeah,
been
for
sitting
sure.
out because it's really good to have the cheese sit out before you use it. It's not the end of the world. It will definitely still get heated up, but take your brie out.
I'm gonna try the rice just to see the texture we
Yeah.
have. I think we are almost there.
That's great. Do you usually use all the broth? Yeah, right.
Usually, yeah. And if I run out of broth, you can always use water,
Great.
you know? You don't have to have like all the amount of broth you need.
So would you suggest so depending on how long you've been putting your broth in, we have about like maybe a cup and a half, maybe like a cup and a half, maybe 2 cups left of broth. Here, I'll show you. So if you're at that stage and you want to start testing by trying just a couple grains of your rice, just to see where it's at, that's good.
Mhm.
And then you're reducing the temperature
I'm
just
gonna
a little bit.
reduce just a little bit so I can work on the time and
Nice. That makes
um
sense.
and also slice the cheese. So just so it can be ready for me when I need it. So you don't have to worry about like a little bit of moment that you just don't mix it. Just make sure it's not burning. But you can do like both things at the same time, you know?
Yeah. So as long as you have enough liquid, um, you can work on other things. So you're gonna just kind of gradually put in your time.
Yeah, so what you want to do is like hold the steam always like in the top, and then you just do like this and you take all the leaves. So these new ones, it's okay. And if you take a little bit of the young part of the steam, it's fine because they're soft.
Great. And do you want to use all of it or how many sprigs do you want to use?
Um, I think I think we can use all of it.
Okay. So we're using maybe like
4 or 5?
4 or 5 sprigs. Some of the sprigs have more sprigs on them, but
Yeah.
yeah.
If you like thyme,
Mm-hmm.
use it. If you're not a big fan, it's okay.
So again, we added the sprigs. We didn't add the stem. We took the leaves, the thyme leaves off the stem. And we're probably gonna add all that we were given in the kit. So about 5 stems, 5 sprigs.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. Let me count the,
It's already smelling so good.
yeah. I think we can add
More liquid.
more liquid. Please.
Mm-hmm. And then when they're done with the thyme,
You can also save some, like one for the
Mm.
end, so you can just like garnish.
Okay, yeah, so save one for the garnishing. That's cute. That's a cute
Yeah.
idea. And then how do you typically recommend the cheese be cut up? Like just cute, like chunks?
To be honest, they will be melt
Okay.
in the middle, so I wouldn't mind. It's just like the time that it takes to melt. It will depend on the size that you cut them, right?
Mm.
So let's see. I think I will do like slices.
Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
Oh,
If you have to be tempted to try a slice,
yeah.
that's okay. So you're just slicing it into like quarter-inch slices.
I'm watering my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So you'll use all of your cheese. So everything that you've been given.
Please.
I'm gonna try just a little. Tempted. Mm. Mm-hmm.
So if you try the cheese that you're using, it can be the brie, or in another case, if you're using another one, Parmesan cheese are always really salty.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to correct the salt in the end. We don't want the risotto to be salty after we add the cheese.
Perfect. But the brie is usually not too salty.
Yeah, no, it's really light in that way. Let's try the rice, see how the texture is.
This looks really good. I don't know if you can see from the photo, but it's really coming together. And what kind of, can you describe the texture a little bit on like what you're looking for? Is it done? You think, or it just needs a little more?
Oh, I think is
it good?
it's really good. So the texture we want, I think we still have a little bit, but we have to count that the heat will remains on the rice, so it will still be cooking even after we turn off the heat, you know?
So you still want it to be a little tacky?
Yeah,
Like-
a little bit, but I want to feel the texture of the rice. I don't want to smash the rice with my tongue, you know?
Uh-huh. Like have it be puree.
Yeah. I want to feel, but I don't want the rice to be like you can feel when stick to your teeth, you know?
So it's almost there.
Almost there. I would add a little bit of broth. And something that I see common in, for example, cheap restaurants that I don't like eating risotto. They usually serve a really like tough risotto that is like a amount of rice, and you don't want risottos to be like that. You want the risottos to be soft, and when you place them in the plate, they just like melt and lay down in the plate. So when you go to a restaurant, you have the right to judge, okay? You want the risotto to be laying down in the plate and be really creamy, because that's what makes the risotto a really good risotto, the creaminess. So when we are almost done. We don't want the risotto to be already like looking, how can I say?
Like pureed or like
Yeah, like
starchy.
together, you
Uh-huh.
know, we want them to be more creamy than we want in the final result. Just because the starch will still continue to absorb all the water. So before we turn off the heat, we still want a little bit more creamy than we're gonna serve. And risotto is one of the recipes that we need to serve immediately. Like we cannot wait. And if we wait, we have to add more broth and heat up a little bit more. So depending on the time that you're gonna serve yours, think about this. Like if you're gonna wait and you have to reheat, try to make it less
More al dente.
Yeah, more al dente, and then you finish cooking when you have to serve. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that sound? Should we add the
Yeah,
rest?
you can add the rest.
Do you want half and half, like or all of it?
Okay.
So we're almost completely out of our broth. There, I'll get this.
So now we can add the cheese.
Okay.
Because the texture for me, for the grains are really good. Like you can feel the texture of the rice, but they're not super sticking to your teeth.
And like check your salt levels too, and you can add some more salt if you need to. But you're just adding the slices.
Yeah.
And we're gonna use all of the cheese, and
All the cheese, and you put them there and let them melt. And there's no problem if you find some bigger pieces, you know, as they have like this skin. There's no problem with that. It's even a good thing to find those.
So you're just kind of like burying the slices of brie that you kind of like slice up some long pieces. Do you want the rest of the broth, or do you think you're good?
I think we can add. There's just a little bit more. Yeah. So now we are in the end.
So we reduced our temperature a little bit. Is that still good, or do you want it a little higher?
A little higher, just to come to the right texture, and we are ready to serve. So now we only have to wait until the cheese is melted, at least a little bit, and adjust the salt. So try here.
This looks so good. And you notice that like the risotto, it almost like looks like it's in a sauce, and that it's that broth and the so you're just adding a little more salt, a couple more pinches of salt. You've already added all the cheese, the last of the broth. We still have the butter, and we still have the asparagus.
Yeah.
Ooh, you can see some of the rind. It's still there, but you think like the inside of the brie is like kind of melted out.
Yeah. And you can use the spatula just to break
the rind up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at
But
that.
I wouldn't mind to find a big piece of cheese.
This looks so good. I'm so excited to try this.
So now we can add the asparagus we did.
So good.
The salt is good.
Yeah, really good.
And I think we can turn off the heat.
Okay. Ooh, look at this beauty.
Ooh, creamy.
So creamy.
So let's smash this cheese.
Oh my goodness. How's everybody doing? How are your risottos? I'm so excited. Make sure you take some photos of this. It's so beautiful. And any more pepper or no?
We can do some. Why not? Pepper is always great.
Oh, and butter?
That's true. I would add maybe a tablespoon
Okay.
only.
Awesome, Karen. She says ours is almost ready. So we're adding a tablespoon of butter.
Yeah.
And just putting that in the last. Make sure you're tasting your grains.
Yeah. Are you guys hungry as I am?
It looks so pretty. Oh my goodness.
So mix it a little bit just until the butter is incorporated.
How beautiful.
It is. Ooh.
And then what do you usually prefer? It to be a plate or a bowl? Or how do you like how do you like to portion your
I would
risotto?
use a plate.
Plate?
Yeah.
Okay. Here.
So we can use a spoon like this one.
Nice. Okay, so we're gonna plate things up so you can see it. Oh, gorgeous. Look at how well it melts.
So look, when you
When you slap
the plate, the risotto just lay down in the plate. That's the texture that you want to.
Okay.
So it's
Question
super
from
creamy.
Karen.
Yeah.
When you add the cheese, did you turn off the heat? So we kept the heat on. We reduced the temperature. We still had a little broth left over, so we increased the heat just to make sure all the broth was evaporating. Not all of the broth, but it was trying to make sure everything's melted. And then once everything was melted, then we turned off the heat. Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, let's see how it looks more beautiful. You
Oh.
can put only one. This one are big, so I will wait for the next plate.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Look it. So pretty. Okay.
So let's go for the panzanella.
Panzanella. Okay,
So
so
the only thing we need is to mix it, right?
okay.
So for serving, we already have the tomatoes and the bread in here with the basils that we had. And for the
Dressing.
take the
Whisk.
whisk.
Here we go. So we're gonna re-whisk the dressing because it's settled.
So
And then how do you know how much dressing? You just feel it?
yeah, let's see. But I
Maybe
would
start with
say,
half or
yeah, I would start with half and see if all the ingredients are covered with the dressing. So, oh my God, look at this.
that's gorgeous. And then just use a spoon to mix it or how?
You can even use the bowl
Okay.
or a spoon.
Okay. Yeah, I love that sound of the crunch.
Yes.
That's a good sign when your croutons make
It
that like
is.
crunchy, satisfying.
And I forgot, but I put all the bread mixed with
Right.
we mixed with the tomato. So maybe the proportions are not that great. Like you'll probably not see much tomatoes for the amount of bread, but I don't think that will be a problem for
okay.
anybody, right?
Just adding a little bit more.
A little bit more.
So
I would
most.
say, yeah, I would say I use like 3/4.
Okay.
And
Beautiful. And then do you do like bowl for this or a plate, a small plate?
we can use a small plate, I would
Okay.
say.
Beautiful.
So let's pick some tomatoes.
So again, we just put like a quarter of the dressing in. If you're making some tomorrow, don't mix it all together. Just mix up a portion.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Beautiful.
Here it
And then
is.
you've got your
then-
garnish
Yeah.
of your basil leaves.
So you can
Look
put it
at how pretty.
like
Mm. Oh,
Oh, this is
so
perfect.
cute. So cute.
So yeah, now we have
Photo
the
worthy.
salad.
Okay.
Now we have the salad. We have the risotto. So,
Okay,
we
so
ready for
the
dessert?
fancy panna cotta? Okay, so everybody
Fingers
doing
crossed.
okay? I'm sure there's some of you that are still working on the risotto, but again, we just put a portion of risotto. We added asparagus spear. We added 3/4 of the dressing to the big bowl of the panzanella, and then garnished with the basil leaf. And now we are thinking it's time for panna cotta. Let me know if I can help you. Kind of.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not the
Sorry.
tallest person. But yeah, let's hope that the panna cotta. Oh yeah, it's ready.
Okay. So technically you don't have to take the panna cotta out of the container, but we're gonna try. Are we gonna try doing that? Okay, so do you need like a spatula? Kind of?
I'm gonna use the small knife.
Okay, small knife.
So here they're all set, you can see.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is use the knife.
Okay.
And here I'm with my fingers crossed, okay? So it's always a challenge, but I
Oh, it
think
looks
it's
like it's
gonna
gonna
work.
happen. So like a paring knife almost.
Yeah, and something that also helps, but we need to be careful is placing the ramekin like in a bowl with warm water, because as it is gelatin, it will kind of melt with the high temperature. So it will melt like in the
On the
corner.
side.
Yeah, on the side. But let's try this way.
So you're just going around with a paring knife
Yes.
and then
Think.
ooh,
You
I
have
kind of
to,
see it.
yeah, you have
You're
to
kind of like
give a
using
room,
gravity.
have to give a room so we don't make like a vacuum, you know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
come on.
I heard it.
Ooh,
Okay.
come on.
Or maybe a finger, like we're
It's
just
playing.
trying to
Yeah.
see if it will flip.
Okay,
Yay!
it worked. It worked.
Look at
It's not
it.
centralized, but we can say it was on
Oh
purpose.
yeah, right. It was off center. That's the stylish. Okay, so we just went around the ramekin with a paring knife and it came off. It slides off, but you could use your finger or you could, you know,
Warm
you
it
could
up
see.
a little bit, yeah.
How long does a panna cotta keep?
You mean like
Like how long would it last if you don't eat it all? Like in the fridge, like several days, like 3
I would
days?
say almost a week, because I did it and I give to a friend and she said like she ate after 1 week. But I would try to keep like 3 days or something. So here we have the blueberry sauce.
Oh, Tolly family, you did so good.
Wow.
So pretty. Good job.
Looks amazing.
Look at their plates. Their plates are beautiful.
So here we have the blueberry sauce. You can see how thick it is.
Oh yeah,
and
it really got
creamy.
thick.
So just place it on top.
Oh my God. Oh, and let
Look
it dribble
how
over.
amazing it is.
Amazing.
So same with the other options we did. You can place it like this.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah, you can put it on the side, and if you have like a fresh berry, like strawberry or something, just put it on top.
Wow.
Same here.
Amazing. Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it should take like it could last about a week. Nuri says the panna cotta will definitely be completely gone by tonight. I'm with you. Look at how beautiful. Julia, you did
Yeah.
so great. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for
Thank you guys.
joining this class, and it was a pleasure to be here
Yeah.
and tell a little bit of my story too.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so nice to have you all trying these recipes. Yeah, thank you guys. And thanks for staying a little bit longer. I'm so glad that we got to do this all together. So are there any, before we let you guys go and enjoy, are there any like lingering questions, or if there's any steps that you want finishing up, we're happy to stay and explain those. But I just want to say thank you guys so much. We will keep you posted on any other classes that we're planning. I believe that we're going to be doing a Moroccan class in June, and then we're going to be doing like a free culinary arts. We just got an arts grant to do a free class, and it's going to be Indian culinary arts. We did a similar one last year, but it's all about from different making food, Indian foods from different regions, but also like a kind of a palette, colorful menu. So
Great.
definitely keep me posted if you want to be a part of that. And then questions.
Any
They said,
feedback?
"Oh, we go."
Oh.
Um,
Obrigada. And guys, if you have any questions after and you want me to ask anything, feel free to contact me on Instagram. Also, if you can tag me on posts and photos, it would be
yes.
great to repost.
Yes. And let me put her Instagram handle in again.
Paniago.
Paniago.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there was a question about should the dressing be kept in the fridge? So yes, if you don't mind, if you have any lingering dressing that you haven't used, feel free to just put that in the fridge, and everything else can stay in the fridge. So the risotto can be reheated with a little bit of water or broth tomorrow. The panna cotta, just maybe wrap the ones that you don't use if you don't eat it all. And
I would
yeah.
only keep the bread if you did it separate. Just keep it out of the fridge and in a Ziploc container or something, so you can prevent to absorb moisture and lose the crunchy.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all so much. I'm mid-chew. We so appreciate it. I will be sending out the recording, and we'll be putting the recipes on our website. Of course, feel free to look at any other classes that we have coming up. We'll be doing some cocktail classes and more classes. So like I think a ravioli one will be coming soon. We'll be doing a Solo Grazia farm, like local dinner that I'll be teaching, I think in September, but we've got, and then I would love to do more with Julia. So we'll be planning, we'll let you know on those.
Of course.
But thank you again for staying a little late, and we're so glad to have you all part of our weekend. So please enjoy your dinner, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Everything is delicious. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for dinner. See you. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
Oh, so great. Okay, bye everybody.